All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome 2022. What's new in 22? Hope everybody had a wonderful New Year's Eve, and it's been a great New Year's Day. I think there may be some people that this morning or afternoon wasn't too pleasant, but I hope everybody is safe and sound. And here we are in 2022. Got to be a better year, right? Hey, JoJo, Happy New Year to you too. Yeah, it was quite a year for us in 2021. I think a lot of people, maybe most, are happy to see it just pass on by. So with that, this year, I wanted to talk tonight about what are your plans for 22 as far as photography, videography go. Do you have any resolutions to shoot more, get your business up and running? Or whatever it may be, drop it in the chat and let's talk about it. Let's see where everybody plans to go this year. Myself, been a big learning curve for me over the last 3 months. So I'm going to try to pick this channel up a little bit and maybe dress the background up a little bit more. And of course, get the phone working. And that's been a challenge, but we may even try it tonight. How you doing, Woody? Good to see you. Hope you had a wonderful New Year's Eve. We get a lot of people in here. We can also ask about Christmas. What happened with them Christmas? Looking forward to the live stream. All right, Ted. Thank you very much. Yeah, tonight I just want to talk about. We're gonna let things calm down a little bit from Wednesday night's live stream. More positive than negative. I will say that a lot of people seem to agree with some of the points that we made, but we're not going to get into all that tonight too much. It is what it is at the moment. And as everybody knows, the Z9 is, well, we don't know. Again, it's just the communication thing. And I've had several people not try to, but passing on information and reminding me, or maybe trying to illuminate the fact that there is a chip shortage. And yes, I'm well aware of that and all the part shortages and everything else. So that's definitely not new news to me. And that really has little bearing on my overall agenda and what I was trying to discuss. But we'll let that go tonight. Lee, good to see you. Yeah, I saw that. Vaughan played some of the live stream. I guess I captured a few of his viewers over there. They jumped over to comment on the video. And one gentleman, he commented, but it was obvious. He even said, I only watched a few seconds of it. And then he went on a diatribe about I'm whining and all the other stuff. So I just explained simply that it's obvious that he didn't watch the whole thing and really doesn't understand what the theme of it all is or what the agenda is. But I did mention that maybe it's a bad time, but could I get you to subscribe and like? I don't know how that went over. But yeah, I think everybody's busy tonight. So I scheduled this for tonight rather than New Year's Eve. I know there would be people that would be available or around, and maybe they were bored and would want to be on New Year's Eve, but I wasn't gonna push that. So Saturday night's a regular night, and I thought I would just jump in here tonight again on our regular night, and let's talk about 22. What's new in 22 for you? What are your plans? Anything new that you're going to do? And maybe now's the time to make that decision. If you were thinking about earning money from photography, now's the time. And we've had some folks in here, obviously, that shoot for financial gain. Wedding photographers. We got Lee in here now. We had Briar in here Wednesday night. He's been on before. And when those guys are in here, if anybody out there is thinking about getting into the wedding business or the real estate business or whatever these guys do, you need to pick their brain and ask them what they do and how they do it. And maybe that's your step up, your leg up and getting into what you want to pursue. So Uh, oh, thanks, Ted. Yeah, that's right off my Flickr account. I don't have a paid Flickr account, so they keep telling me that I'm approaching my limit there. Um, and you guys are welcome to go over there. It's just Chuck Egan on Flickr. And I've got a hodgepodge of photos in there. Lee, I do real estate and portrait wedding work. There you go. So anybody that's looking to get into that, this is your opportunity, and that's another reason for this channel is to kind of spread the love and help each other out. We're not all the big names. Well, that's obvious in my part, but this is the opportunity for us to share. This should be a networking platform for us, get answers to the questions we have, whatever we're trying to do. Not just that, but just share the love of photography. And of course, for us, we're the majority of us are Nikon shooters, and share the creativity that Nikon provides us. I really would like to get that going. So I checked my demographics again. It seems that it's shifted, and that's a good thing. So now I have about 45% of my viewers, they're not necessarily all subscribers, but viewers that fall between 18 and 30 years old. That's great. And I'm just going to throw that out there right now. The email's up on the screen. I'd love for some of you younger folks I'd like to have you on the channel. And if you're willing to do that, I'd love to bring you guys in and talk about it, because this is what I've been talking about all along. It's kind of what got us going last week. Although the straw that broke the camel's back was the whole debacle with who's getting the Z9 and when and whatever. But I'd like to get you on the show because I keep talking about this, and I think a lot of people think that I'm making it up or I'm just imagining it. But I'd like to get the younger audience's view on Nikon as compared to Sony and Canon. What can Nikon do? And you guys are the best audience to bring these things up and talk about it, so that maybe somehow it gets into Nikon's hands and they understand what it takes to bring your generation on board. Some people say, well, it's just cameras and over time. No, I think it's the marketing piece as well. But if you're willing to come on here and be a guest, the email's up there. Shoot me an email and let me know that you would like to be on as a guest, and we'll get that set up for either a Wednesday or a Saturday night here in the upcoming weeks. So let's see. Enough of that for now. Let me get back over here. So Lee, you do real estate, portrait wedding work, right? B&H not shipping to Canada. Did I post something about B&H not shipping to Canada? No, I think somebody else commented or something like that. And I don't know anything about that. I have no idea whether that's legit or not. But Canada seems to be doing pretty good with the Z9 themselves. That'll be interesting. Woody, we'll figure it out. But I did not post anything. It may have been in the middle of something that I posted or a comment on something I shared. Z9's overall just trickling into the U.S., so the smaller shops are getting as many as B&H and the like. Yeah, I think that's what it sounds like, doesn't it, Lee? And so you guys, excuse me, so you guys know, Lee and I have talked for the last 4 or 5 days, long conversations too, and a lot of it having to do with Lee talking to B&H, and what we've come to the conclusion that B&H was probably just passing information, trying to get people off the phone or move them along or whatever, because there are just too many stories, and it's not likely that it's coming from B&H proper. It's just some of the people that are answering the phones. So again, we're back to, we don't know. We have no idea what's going on. And even the little shops aren't willing to talk about it for whatever reason. I don't know if they've got an NDA on them. Maybe. I have no idea. One of the subs commented on it. Yeah, you're right. That's what it was. Hey, Charles, good to see you. Happy New Year to you. Understanding I have is that Nikon, wait a minute. Here, let's use technology. I'll let you guys read it. I don't need to read it to you. So, but yet again, this is yet another story. I think you've talked to them on the phone, Lee. It's not by text or anything else. So, and I know that you got a couple of stories. One lady seemed willing to help, and then that kind of went away. They know nothing about. Let's see when they'll come in. No clue. I don't think anybody does. Or man, somebody has clamped all discussion about it. I have no idea what's going on, but over on the Facebook Z9 page, the new Z9 page, and I think that's where some of the people came that wanted to talk to me. And it wasn't just in comments on the video. I've received a bunch of Facebook messages because obviously it's easy to get my Facebook message and send me a message. And yeah, I've had some people that are really snotty. I've had some people, though, that they want to agree anonymously. And I understand that as well. But I think everybody understands that there is kind of a issue here that needs to be discussed as far as Nikon is concerned, not necessarily on the point of who's getting the Z9s here in the U.S. because it's different. And I've had a lot of people that have explained to or talked to me in comments on the video about, it'll come soon and you're going to get it. And, one, folks, you don't have to talk me off the edge. I'm not going to commit suicide because I can't have a Z9 tomorrow. Okay. Perturbed a bit. Yes. But it really has more to do again with the politics behind what's going on. So I'm good. Just so you know. And eventually I'll get a Z9 just like everybody else. I'd like to think it's going to be sooner rather than later, but again, right now, I mean, am I lying? Are we in the dark? And that was my complaint. And people are telling me that it's not a big deal. So anyway, it isn't for them because they're out shooting. And I have seen some great photos and many reviews, if you will, people using the camera. Some of them you could be shooting with a film camera. Some of the stuff that they're posting because it really doesn't show me anything about the camera. But there are a few that really do show you the capability of the camera, and that's been great to watch. Hey, Robert, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Albert, how you doing? Happy New Year. Best wishes to you and your family. What's new for you in 22, Mr. Davis? Let's see. Pull the trigger on a Z6. Let's drive it up here. Z6 at B&H a couple hours ago. The Z50 is going mirrorless this year. All right, good, man. Glad to hear that, and that's great. I've got it. I'm on the D6 or D6. Wow, Z6 right now, and I have a Z6 II over here with the new 100 to 400 mounted on it. So I guess I should be happy. At least I got that. And I know you're going to love your Z6. And I'll tell you right now, I got to wonder if the AF in the Z6 with the firmware update isn't as good or better than the Z6 II. I was thinking about that while I was out there shooting yesterday with the new 100 to 400. Of course, with the TC2 2.0X, it's largest aperture f11. So I noticed it struggling a few times. And it's not just because of the aperture, but it's very overcast here. It's been very gloomy and having to shoot at high ISO. So all that takes its toll as well. But I just wonder if the Z6 isn't doing a little bit better than the Z6 II right now with that firmware update. Of course, somebody did bring that to my attention. I should be happy and looking forward to the firmware update for the Z6 II. And I am. I absolutely am. And I'd like to see that happen here before too long. Because the only high megapixel camera I have and is my D850. And I use that still use that for a lot of the photos I shoot for my stepdaughter for her business. Yes, I can use the Z6 II, and I have. But I'll tell you, I got to be honest with you. I'm still struggling with the IAF on the Z6 II shooting portraiture. If you slow down, if you really slow down, yes, it's okay. But if you think you're going to pick up your pace with that Z6 II, or at least in my experience, it's going to drop frames. I seem to lose maybe 50%. So I just have to go back to what I normally do and to pick that percentage up. Where before with the D850, not before, still, I just do focus, recompose, focus, compose, shoot. And it works for me and it works quickly. So it's going to take a little process for me to get out of that habit and relying on AF, especially for portraits and IAF. I know the Z9 is a marked difference between the Z6 II, Z7 II. So I'm really looking forward to getting that. I actually caught a tip from somebody over on the Z9 page. He is a sports shooter. I don't know with who or what, but I looked at he has a website, and I clicked the link, went to his website, and he's got a pretty good description of how to set the camera up, the Z9 now, set the Z9 up for sports shooting. And yeah, I really appreciate, somebody doing that as well. Gives you a head start on how to set the camera up. So, and there are a couple of other things you can take out of that, not just for sports shooting, but setting up the memory banks so that you can put all your settings in different banks and label them sports, portraits, landscape, or however you want to do that. And that's pretty good. So all your settings are there. You just go to the next bank and whammo. I like that idea too, because I'd never done that with any of my Nikon cameras. So, Mike, let's see. Tell me the D850, how much worse than the D5 on autofocus tracking? Yes, I can tell you that it is not as good as the D5. I can tell you that. In my experience, okay, I shouldn't say I can tell you that. I can tell you from my experience, it isn't. The D5 is a fantastic camera. I would never have probably upgraded to the D6, again, for some reasons that other people don't like the D5, and that's the native ISO range. But I liked it. It worked well for me and what I was doing with it at the time. Agnetha, good to see you in here. You keep my female numbers up. Thank you very much. I hadn't had any. And of course, you're in here with us quite often, and I appreciate that. I honestly do. But there are a few more, and I wish other people would speak up. Hey, Nican, good to see you, buddy. Happy New Year. So let me go back to Charles. So what are you going to do with your Z6? What are you just a hobbyist, or are you actually shooting for a profession or something like that? Just curious. And with that answer, do you plan on actually taking this to the next level? Doing this for financial gain, for pay. What's the best way to say that, since I don't do it for that? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I've got a few things in mind. Right now, I am really enjoying doing this, and I just want it to continue to be enjoyable. I want to find more ways to make it enjoyable for people to want to, come around and join us in our live streams. Looking for other guests that may want to be on. I have no desire to have, and not that I wouldn't allow it or be happy if they volunteered to be a guest on here, but any of the big names, I think that's fine. And for what I'm doing, I don't think that it interests them at all. But again, I'd like for all of you folks to continue to participate in this. And if I invite all of you to share your creativity. if you're making videos or doing photos that for whatever reason, and they're just stellar, and you want to show off that creativity using your cameras, then by all means, I want to do that. I want to help you do that either through this, my YouTube channel, or over at Nikon Amateurs Group, which anybody can join the group and start sharing what they're shooting and what they're doing. And again, I want to go back and extend that invitation to all the younger, new generation of shooters. Um, and I'd love to get you on here to talk about what drew you to Nikon, and is there any controversy among your peers about you shooting Nikon, or maybe you don't even shoot Nikon. You're just dropping in and watching the live streams. That's fine too. Drop in and talk to us about what you're shooting and why you went that route. All that would be very interesting. And I know from the segment of young folks that I deal with or talk to, and I'm around, what they say, but evidently that's not enough information, because some of the people were saying that that doesn't mean anything. That I think they're a pretty good slice of the younger generation out there that's working video and things like that. But I'd like to get some others to jump in and talk about it. So, sunsets, wildlife, grandkids, flowers, etc. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Absolutely, it's great. And that's the other thing that most people in forums they look down on us because we're not supposedly professional shooters out making a living doing photography. So we don't need, and I've harped on that. How many times I've heard, well, you don't need it. Well, I don't, but I want it. And there's nothing wrong with that. We should be able to get the things we want and enjoy it. Yes, peer pressure to buy certain brands. Hey, good. How you doing? I don't know how to say that. So, a good it is. You feel free to correct me. Lee, you're currently a Canon shooter. Yeah, Lee and I have had this discussion. Let me throw your comment up here, Lee. So Lee's a Canon shooter. He has a Z9 on order. He's been a Nikon shooter before, and looking at maybe the possibility of, if Nikon's going in the right direction that he wants them to go, then he may jump back into some Nikon. So this isn't helping his decision. I know that. And I'd understand, Lee, if you decided you weren't going to wait. I know it's a little too early to make that decision, but I know that you've also said if the R1 is announced and it has even the development announcement and it rivals or betters the Z9, then that kind of makes your decision for you. So again, we're back to, here's one of many similar situations that are just going to get dropped. Nikon, I understand the part shortage. We don't need to go there, but there's probably a more equitable way here in the US at least. Now, everybody overseas seems to be happy, and other than the numbers aren't very high for cameras, but they seem to be happy with the way they are being allocated, and that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Canon, let's see, the 70s. So, Charles, full DSLR 2006 to 8, chose D80. Okay. And, again, this is one of those things. Everybody's going to discuss, what it is that draws them to a certain brand. And a lot of times I've heard, Nikon with the skin tones and everything else. I like it for the ergonomics. I like it for the colors. But then again, I like Canon's colors. They are different, but I like both Canon and Nikon's colors. But the ergonomics on Nikon, maybe it's because I grew up on Nikon and didn't literally grow up, but it's what I began with, and I'm stuck to their menu system. It's easy for me. So Nikon's my brand. Here we go. Another comment. Shame that most of the young shooters I see along the sidelines these days are not Nikon shooters. I've been saying it. Sandro. Sometimes it feels like only us older folks. Whoa, what a statement. Wow. This is what I've been preaching. And the old folks are trying to hang on to this brand and keep it out. Now, I know it sounds ridiculous, and I don't mean it exactly that way or literally, but trying to maneuver Nikon down the path they want to go. And that can't be because, and everybody says, well, Nikon's going to be around forever. They will, or I expect they will. But how much more market share can they continue to lose before R&D and everything else suffers, and innovation suffers, and production suffers, and everything else? So, I want to see Nikon prosper. I don't care if they're number one. They outsell Canon, outsell Sony, but I want to see Nikon up there in the mix. And we just keep falling a little further behind. And the majority of that has been since mirrorless cameras, since the beginning of mirrorless with Canon and Nikon. Sony jumped out ahead, years ahead, and obviously that gave them a lead. But you know what? I guess everybody forgot. Eventually, DSLRs are going to go away, and then what happens? So nobody wanted Nikon. The old timers here in the Nikon camp didn't want Nikon. They could care less. Nikon went mirrorless. That's foolish if you ask me, but I agree with you, Sandro, and I see it too, and I've tried to explain that, and I've had people basically say I'm lying or I'm crazy or whatever. So we're gonna hope, though. We're gonna hope. Maybe that's one of the things I can do. I can plug that every now and then on this channel. I hope you guys don't get tired of hearing it, but I'm definitely going to continue to plug it until Nikon begins to open their eyes and do something about it. I'd like to see them get some 20-somethings up there in their marketing department and give them a voice. Don't just bring them in as placeholders. But I agree with you. Canon colors for fall landscapes, Charles. Yeah. So yeah, I'm okay with Canon's colors as well. I don't like the feel of the camera, but that's just a personal thing. Everybody gets to choose what feels best in their hands. And aesthetics, do you like the look of it or whatever? So, and I never, ever, ever liked the ergonomics, the feel, the size, the whatever of the Sony camera. Now, I'm not saying they're not good cameras, because they are good cameras. And if they weren't, then we wouldn't be talking about them right now. It wouldn't be an issue, but they are good cameras. And of late, they have begun to look into maybe changing the body style enough so that it fits your hand a little bit better. So yeah, I think that they saw the way of the times as well, and they're making changes. And there are plenty of other things that we can start arguing about later on between cameras, flippy screens and tilt screens and no move screens and things like that. But the cameras are good. All three brands have, now that Nikon has the Z9 out in the hands of some people, now we can say all three brands are good. And Nikon was a good brand, but it left a lot on the table compared to the other two. And whether we like it or not, AI autofocus is not just eye autofocus, but all the animal 3D tracking now and the Z9 and all those things make it a better platform to capture what it is you're looking for. Not that you can't capture it with the old DSLRs, and I mean old DSLRs or even film cameras, but it makes it so much easier, and that makes a pleasant experience, unless you like the difficulty of trying to catch it with something that's difficult to use. Then by all means go that route, but don't talk about other people wanting these things. What else we got? Got your daughter and your niece on Nikon. Good. Start them young before they're influenced by other people. But again, though, I it goes back to what everybody wants, and whether it's Nikon, Canon, or Sony, if that's what you want, then by all means go for it. And I'm not going to rag on you for any one of the brands. My preference is Nikon. And as far as fans go, I'm beginning to think I like Canon fans better than even Nikon fans after seeing some of the stuff that's gone on, with the rumors of the Z9 and everything else over in the forums, blah, blah, blah. Definitely, I don't need to hang around Sony fans. There are some good ones, but for the most part, I don't need to hang around them. All right. Agnetha. Some of the YouTube photo influencers praise Sony, checked out what it had on it, and wonder if they are secretly using the auto mode that Nikon and Canon Pro cameras don't have. Yeah, there are a lot of people that probably do that. And Agnetha, as sad as it is, I've seen some posts over in the Z9 page on Facebook that lend me to believe that they're not really comfortable, definitely, with the Z9. And I mean anybody that gets the Z9, no matter how long you've been shooting Nikon, obviously there's a break-in period where you become more comfortable with it. But I mean, they just sound like they're not even comfortable with digital at all. And here they are with the Z9, and that's okay. They can get it. They got it. But yeah, there are a lot of people that I think maybe don't shoot manual or aperture priority. Maybe they're in the not auto, but as close to auto as they can set it up. I don't know. All right. Yeah, kids still prefer phones. And I'm not talking about those folks, Woody. I'm talking about those that are trying to get into photography. And you know what? It's not photography very often. It's more videography. The hybrid camera is here to stay. It's not going away, and we'll be lucky. I don't even know if I'd call it lucky, but those that want it will be lucky if they ever see a stills only mirrorless camera out of Nikon, Canon, or Sony. The closest I see right now in flagships, and it's not a flagship, is the R3. It still has great video capability, but let's face it, that camera was built primarily for stills, for action sports, journalism, and everything else. Built like a tank, and it's built for stills, but it can still do quality video. So video is here to stay. I know a lot of people don't like it, but that's what sells cameras. Stills only cameras won't sell. They'll sell very few. Unfortunately for Nikon, I'm just going to drop it up here. Albert, Nikon, the regal and pompous ways do not translate well in today's social media market. You're absolutely right. And yet another thing that I was harping on, the old stodgy Japanese corporate mentality. And it's not working. So I gave this example. I was talking to Lee. Have you ever seen the CEO there in Canon? And I haven't seen him recently, but just go back to the D5 announcement when you had the Nikon execs up there on stage talking about the camera. Suit and tie, about to choke them to death. I mean, looking strack though, and looking, fantastic in their suits. And I saw a video where the Canon CEO, and I don't know his name, he was at one of the shows, just went to one of the whatever camera shows or equipment shows. I don't know which one. And the guy's got a suit on, yeah, but his top button's unbuttoned, no tie, hair's a little bit longer. I mean, the guy looks like he's living in the, now. And there's a market difference. And if you think that doesn't mean anything, I beg to differ. It means a whole lot when you see those two representatives. And there's a market difference between their appearance. And the old timers will say they'd rather have the stock, whatever. Old timers got to get out of the way. I'm an old timer. I know I got to get out of the way. You got to get out of the way because, companies aren't going to survive on all the old. Henry Ford was never going to make it on the Model T. He was never going to, 50 years, he'd have been gone, done, because he refused to budge. So my point here is that it's time for Nikon to make some changes. Who am I to say that? Well, nobody but somebody that's sitting out here watching what's happening, and it's easy to observe. I won't go so far now then to say what they have to do, but I'll tell you they have to do something, because I'm sitting out here on the sidelines watching this take place, and it's painful. All right. What else we got? Let's see. Yeah, I didn't see that. Nikon, Tony and Chelsea asking to get a loan of a Z9. Nah, but I haven't watched them for so long. I don't really, I wouldn't have seen it probably. Woody, sold film camera lenses to school. They want to start them with film. Yeah, and I think it's a great, I'll drop it up here, Woody. That's a great way to start people. Learn manually, learn on film. That's how I learned. And when DSLRs, came along, or when I picked up a DSLR, man, I mean, it was like, wow, this is incredible. But I already had the basics. I already understood, the exposure triangle. I already understood panning. I already understood depth of field, and, all those things which you learn on film, because you just can't shoot away. You've got to make every, frame count, because that gets expensive. So yeah, I think it's great. It's a great way to learn. Happy New Year, Terry. Good to see you, buddy. Really like following all your outdoor adventures going on. And man, what a lucky man you are to have all the wildlife and everything that you have up there to shoot. Let's see. Tony begging people's funny. Yeah. Yeah. And, Nikon talking about the film cameras that he has. I've got a F2 sitting upstairs that I kept saying, I'm going to go buy some film. I'm going to buy some film. I'm going to buy some film. And I still haven't done it, but I'd like to, because one thing it will do is it will make you sit up and pay attention after paying what you're paying for film today and having it developed. You're just not going to slay and spray, are you, with film? Marketing intervention, change their ways. Yeah, Ted, again, been harping on it, and I agree with you 100%, and I'm going to continue to harp on it. Again, that's why I'd like to get some of my younger audience. If you're out there and you would like to be a guest, I want to talk to you. I want you to come on. I'll have you on one night, have it soon or later if you like, but I definitely want to get you in here to talk about your demographics, talk about your age group. What is the buzz about cameras? Because if you're in here watching this, you're obviously into photography or videography. And I would love to have you on here to talk about what are the likes, dislikes, and everything of each brand. What is it that you guys and gals, are looking primarily at? Is it video or is it stills? And how do you plan to use either? I need you guys to come in here and start talking to us. If you're out there, you're watching, by all means, shoot me an email and we'll discuss it. And I'll get you in here because, we know that you're not being catered to by Nikon as far as the marketing goes. By you, Josh. Yeah. Well, that's young to me, Josh. Oh, man. Good to see you in here, brother. You want to get in there and chat, just let me know and I'll drop you the link. You're more than welcome. Let's see. I'm sorry, Jojo. Let me see what you said. Totally agree with that. This is why young ones love to say, I'll fix it in post because they never learn. Oh, talking about the film, learning on film. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it's just a great way. It definitely gives you a great groundwork to begin from with a DSLR. You learn film, you have definitely learned the exposure triangle, which is the key. It still applies in everything that we shoot, right? And you learn it well, though, in film because you can't afford to, well, let me dial the ISO back a little or up a little or whatever. Lee. Da, 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 da. I want to get your buddy Josh. I'd love to get him in here. Oh shoot, what's his name? The young guy in Germany. I would love to get him on here, but that's not going to happen. I love his. I love watching his channel. That guy, that youngster is going places in photography because he loves it. He's got a passion for it. Let's see. Facebook Live, video chasing elk. I enjoyed it, Terry. I enjoyed it. I'd love to have elk. I wish I had elk. I could, run down the road or whatever and find elk. But up here, you'd find them dead on the road. F6. Let's see. Portrait 400. Oh. So I watched Grays of Westminster today. Their first part of 3 of them out shooting, her and Khan out shooting film, and listen to them talk about film before they went out and the cost of some of the film. Man, I had no idea because I haven't priced it lately. But wow. Bald eagles. Yeah, I have nothing in my area. It's like I'm in I don't know, a war zone or something. I mean, even the little chickadees and, sparrows or wrens and whatever, they're hiding from me. I have nothing here right now. I don't know what's going on. So 2022, what are you guys going to do? Anything different, or is it just yet another year? And for me, it usually turns into, after a few months, it's like, okay, well, it's just another year now. But what's new for you all? I know what's new for you, Josh. You just did a video on it. Sorry, had something there. All right. $28 for 36 exposures. Wow. I didn't know how much it cost now. I had told some others that I had thought about buying a used enlarger and shooting some black and white and just developing it myself. I kind of enjoyed that when I did it before. Make some prints here at home. Man, that's expensive, and that's exactly why you don't want to spray and slay. You definitely want to take your time and make sure you're doing it right for each frame. Yeah, you guys are, Lee, you and Josh, you're good to go. Had 3 eagles in the tree 100 feet above me yesterday. Couldn't get a shot. Wow. Shoot, I'd be happy if I couldn't get a shot just knowing they're there. I'm telling you, it's been bleak here. And that's bad because over the last several years, I've had several hawk pairs. I mean, that's big for me. I get a red-tailed hawk. And I've had some sharp-shinned hawks. But my feeders haven't been up for a while, so they haven't come around to eat the birds on the feeders. Black bear alligators to my photo list. Yeah. Yeah, you can in North Carolina. That's right. Get them both. Well, I'm just looking forward to one this year. Part of what I'm doing this year is obviously, well, maybe you all don't know. I've said it before, but I'm trying to get the house in order. We're trying to get out of here. We're heading south. We're going down to Tennessee, Nashville area, not in Nashville, but Nashville area, something that's convenient to get in and out of Nashville. And that's the priority. But I'm going to piddle around with this a little bit. I'm definitely going to keep this going. So you guys keep coming back. And I never ask for this. I ask for likes only because it makes me feel good. After the fact, to know that somebody appreciated having a place to go on YouTube and get in here and chat and talk and everything else. But if you guys haven't subscribed, if you would just drop a subscription. As they say, it doesn't cost anything, and you can always get rid of it later. But I want to see if I can actually build this channel. And the reason for that is it gives us more exposure to other people. So if you guys don't mind, if you haven't subscribed, if you would, that would be fantastic. The old office quote, that'd be great. Oh, hard to get the chemicals and paper due to Brexit. Oh, okay. For you guys over across the pond. And we have a new. No, we don't. No, we don't. That was over somewhere else. Nope. All right. I got Zach in here. Hang on, folks. I think Zach's going to join us. Let's bring him in. All right, Zach, you're live.
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, I don't know how the audio sound. I don't even know how mine sounds. Nobody said anything. I don't know if it's loud enough or not.
You guys will have to let me know how I sound because I'm not doing any playback because I don't want to be able to hear myself through my own headset. So I will be looking this way tonight. I just got done with a.
That's okay. You got a nice profile anyway. So
hey, thanks. A nose that was sculpted in the likeness of Michelangelo's David. No, I had a very, very, very good bodyscape shoot that I literally just walked out the model just a moment ago, and so I'm over here just reviewing these and doing the edits. Man, it was a really, really good one.
All right, good.
Yeah,
good.
Absolutely nailed it.
Hey, Woody, I'm working on that as well. This is a restream thing, and I'm going to get that figured out. I actually sent a question in to them because I couldn't find it in their frequently asked questions. Why it wouldn't let me or wouldn't allow me to go directly to the Nikon Amateurs group, because groups are different than individual pages and yada, yada, yada. You guys know all that. But I don't know why there's a button or a switch that has to be flipped that I can't find. So anyway, I'm going to try to get that fixed so it streams directly to Nikon Amateurs group. So appreciate that question. Hang on a second. Compassion 75. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ordered your Z9. Okay. Would one lens, would you recommend the 24 to 70, 2.8, 24 to 120? Okay. Everybody's going to have a different, suggestion.
It's hard to go wrong with Nikon Z glass. I mean, it really is.
No, yeah. So as far as sharpness goes, you're not going to have a problem with either one of those lenses. They're both going to be fantastic. Okay. The only thing you're not going to get is that half a stop of light, from 2.8 to f4. But I don't think it makes that big a difference. The only thing that you might see a difference in is a little difference in the out of focus area, depending on how you set up a shot with your subject. Beyond that, it's not going to make that big a difference. Honestly, and especially with the Z9, if you've ordered a Z9, I think the 24 to 120 will give you a whole lot more focal range that you'll find you'd like, rather than being cut off right at 70 millimeter. But that's my opinion, and it doesn't mean I'm right. That's just my opinion. And in the chat, ask everybody in the chat as well, or let them comment. You're going to hear 15 different options, but then, by all means, thanks for the question.
There's going to be that one person that says like, well, neither of them, because if you do have a Z9, being able to go out to 120 is like something that kind of justifies the speed that you can get out of the Z9. But if you're a portrait photographer, 24 to 70 f2.8, like all the way, that is one of the best lenses I've ever seen in my life. I don't have any experience with the 24 to 120. Unfortunately, I'd like to, but I'd like to review it for my YouTube channel. But I have this thing where I don't like buying stuff that I'm not going to use really, and I just I already have the 70 to 200. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. There you go. Compassion. I'm sure there are going to be some others in the chat that's going to drop some advice as well. I think, and it's entirely up to you. Well, I think everybody would like to have the Trinity in Nikon glass, whether it's F mount glass or now S mount or S glass. So you can't go wrong with the 24 to 72.8. You just can't go wrong with that either. Again, the 100 millimeter, if you're going to shoot portraits and you're going to use lights, if by chance that's something that you'll be doing, if you're doing that a lot, then I think the 24 to 120 is a better option because that carries you up into that telephoto, medium telephoto range, i.e. the infamous 105 that Nikon's 105 1.4 or Sigma 105 1.4. That is a very nice range for portraits. So anyway, 70 isn't going to be that much different. 70 is the workhorse of a lens. My 24 to 70 in F mount, it's wore out because that's the lens I probably shoot with the most. It's just the best focal range for most everything.
The Nikon F mount 24 to 70 f2.8 has probably made more money for more photographers than any other lens in history. That is a monster of a workhorse. Oddly enough, not insanely sharp, but an absolutely beautiful, beautiful lens.
Oh, what am I doing? I forgot about the other lens. The Tamra Nikon or Nikon or whatever we're going to call it. The new.
Oh, the 24 to 75? Yeah.
Yeah, 28 to 75. That might be interesting as well. And it's a whole lot cheaper.
I'm still a little confused by that one. I mean, I get it. The partnership with Tamron and everything. I just don't understand. That just seems like a weird one with everything else in that range. Like they could have maybe done a different Tamron lens, I think, if they're gonna rehash a Tamron. But I mean, who am I? Somebody at Nikon makes more money than me to make those decisions, and so I don't doubt Nikon. Nikon, when everyone's like, "What are they doing?" It kind of usually seems to be like the right move, and so I just I'll let Nikon have that one.
Yeah, I'll let Lee correct me here. You're right. Full stop. Here, I was thinking it was 2/3. All right. So yes, lest we forget the new Nikon lens. Do they consider that an S lens, S line lens? I don't think so.
I don't think it's an S line.
But it would be worth actually trying. So if you have the opportunity to go to a camera store and try those lenses, I would do that. Unless you don't care and you're going to just get what you want, then that's fine. But if you are trying to shave $1,000 off of that cost, that new lens that's patterned after Tamron, that new lens 28 to 75 2.8 might be an option. It might be an option for a lot of people regardless.
I'll tell you one thing, S line or not, because the 24 to 70 f4 is considered an S line. Given the choice between an f4 and an f2.8 in the same range, they can keep that S badge. Like I'll take the f2.8. And so I mean, I guess it's a good option for somebody looking for like a mid-range zoom. I would take the Tamron rehashing f2.8 over the f4, and it doesn't matter if it's sharper or not, because I'm one of those people, and this may not be um, this may not be anybody else's thing, but for me, f2.8 is more important, and so I would take that over the S line f4, which is a really good lens, by the way. That is a fantastic lens. If you get it at a discount buying a body, get
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
I
I
don't I
bought
don't
it.
think it's worth buying by itself. It's a little too expensive for me
Yeah,
as a
I
solo
agree.
lens.
I bought it as a entry when I bought the Z6. I just bought the Z6 with 24 to 70 kit,
Hmm.
24 to 70 f4, to give me an actual Z mount lens to go along with it. But who was it just mentioned? Lee's talking about the 24 to 200, better than it deserves to be. I don't know anything about it, but I've heard good things, Lee. F mount lenses, if by chance you have F mount lenses, that is, oh, so the 28 to 75 is an S lens, Lee? I did not know that. I thought it was, I didn't think it was, but okay.
I I
It
don't
should be at 2.8.
well, I don't think it probably has all the coatings and stuff that the S line has. I'm gonna Google it right now. Pickware
All right.
Z28 to 75 f2.8. Um,
Yeah, Charles, I'm
it's
looking at the
it's
85 1.2 whenever it's announced.
oh
Go
god,
ahead.
I want that lens so bad. This is not saying that it is an S line, but it is VR, which I did not know.
Yeah, that's going to be, and that was part of the discussion when they announced that lens. That was part of the discussion talking about, what would be different out of Tamron's design. Obviously, the VR in it would be different, Nikon's VR motors and so on and so forth. So,
Oh,
yeah, it's an interesting lens. And I think everybody was trying to figure out, okay, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense.
I know, I know what this lens is right now. This just dawned on me. The fact that this is a mid-range f2.8 VR lens, that means that it will work like on the Z9. It will because the Z9 has a synchro VR, so its VR will now work with the VR in the lenses to make it that much better. So this is actually a
Right.
better choice than the non-VR f4.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, that makes a little sense. I honestly don't know how the 70 to 200 in body image stabilization, I don't know how that can get better. It's extremely tight.
Okay, so
But
here's a comment. Dutch, let's see. 24 to 28 as far as landscape photography goes. I don't know. I'm not a landscape shooter, but anybody that
I am.
is.
What is it? Um go with actually um this is a tough one because the difference between 24 millimeters and 28 millimeters in a prime is literally a few steps forward or backwards. So I would just get whichever one's cheaper, honestly, if they're the same aperture.
Yeah, I couldn't answer. To me, I would say, I mean, not that I'm telling anybody what they should do. I'm just saying, in my mind, I'd tell myself, I don't care. It's only 4 millimeters.
Yeah.
But maybe it does to, a real landscape photographer. So I don't know. I think I could give up the 4 millimeters now. Looking at all the bells and whistles in that 28 to 75, but I guess we're going to have to wait and see just how good it actually is. I mean, everybody assumes it will be, and I do too. But you know, man, three lenses in the 24-ish to 70-ish focal range. That's pretty good. You definitely get to pick what you want. A lot of people say that the Tamron has definitely upped their game, and their quality is above Sigma and Tokina now. Well, I think Tokina is a great third party lens, but
Takina has been kind of hit and miss with me. Like I've tried out like a bunch of their stuff. And some of it is just like, this is obviously a third party lens, but their macro lens is like one of the best macro lenses ever made.
Excuse me. Sorry.
That lens is the shit, dude. Their 100 millimeter macro, that is a phenomenal lens. But some of their stuff is just like, yeah, like okay. Um, but Tamron, like I remember when Tamron was just like what poor people got, and then I guess they got tired of being that company, and
No,
their
it was.
Trinity,
And I think people
yeah,
that support it now and get so mad when people kind of roll their eyes when you say Tamron because they're used to the old Tamron. The
yeah,
folks that are buying the lenses now, most probably don't even know how bad at one time Tamron was.
yeah,
And I won't say it was terrible, but I mean, you were buying Tamron lenses because you just couldn't afford
right,
others, and Tokina the same way.
right,
But
yeah. They
all the
stepped up their game
qualities
big
come up.
time.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
hard. It's hard to buy really camera gear as a whole. It's hard to buy like really just like god awful shit that's like modern. Like it's kind of tough to get something that just like absolutely sucks. Like you can make money with anything. You can make art with anything.
yes, very good point. VR good for video. Yes, if you're going to do some video, anything other than just, snippets of the kids running around or the grandkids running around or the dog running around, if you're going to do anything that you want some decent quality video, the VR will be a big piece to that, unless you're going full bore. And then we're not talking about these kind of lenses anyway. If you're going to buy a gimbal and you name it, uh,
Yeah, you're going to be in the range of like honestly like for heavy cinema work or like not cinema work but videography work. Um those really wide apertures are kind of where you want to be anyway, so you can get the really sorry, I'm trying to talk and do this at the same time, but them cine lenses, the legit cine lenses are extremely expensive for a reason. And so if you're trying to do like serious video work, um it's really kind of a different system altogether. Although Nikon is nothing to it's no slouch with the video. People tell me all the time, like, "Wow, your color grading is awesome in your videos." I'm like, I don't do anything to it. Like, off the Z6 II, I don't do any like color editing at all. It just looks good.
all right. So the consensus is for Zach, you and others that do some landscape photography is 20 or 4 millimeters is a big difference. So compassion. If you're going to shoot landscape seriously, then there you go. That's something to consider. Uh,
I don't know what the price is on those the 24 millimeter. Does Is there a Z mount 24 millimeter prime right now?
I don't know. I'm not interested in it. I guess I should look. I should know some of these things, but my interest is the reason for research. Uh, so Lee says Tamron's bokeh is exceptional.
So is their VR. Their VR is kind of unbelievable.
So Bayou Josh is saying the same thing you're saying, Zach.
Yeah, the 90 millimeter macro, I got to take one picture of like one flower, and I loved it, but I already had the Takina 100 millimeter macro.
So here you go. Here are the prime reason for the primes in the wide. I know a lot of you guys that do astrophotography or whatever we call it now, nightscapes and everything else, but obviously Aurora. Man, what a lucky man you are, David. I get these alerts here because I have one of those. I'm on one of those sites that there is the possibility of Aurora here in Connecticut, which is just absolutely no, there isn't. I don't know why they do that to me. And I go outside and stand in the cold looking at the sky until my eyes bleed and nothing.
Yeah, you get out there and it turns out just to be some like sewage leakage gases from the plant. It's like, is this what you guys were talking about? This is St. Elmo's fire kind of stuff. You guys got
And
my hopes up.
this would be my suggestion as Terry. First of all, I very rarely buy anything other than Nikon glass. Okay. I know that there's some good third party glass out there. My only venture away was the two Sigma art lenses that I bought. And now I really, well, I don't need them much anymore anyway. But I didn't care for them. A lot of people love them. I just didn't care for it. That was just me, though.
Yeah, there are some hardcore fans for the art lenses. I never was that crazy about them either. Of course, I was it the 1 of the 1.4. Maybe they're all that. I don't know. It was a 1.4. I mean, and it was okay, but it wasn't nearly good enough for me to like want to give up anything I had for it. I was like, I don't really, I guess, get the hype. But I mean, a lot of people were crazy about the 105 f 1.4 too, and I just thought that that lens was should have been half the price that they were charging for it. So that's
Yeah.
just different strokes for different folks, I guess. But me
Yep.
and you are in the same boat with the art lenses. I was like, okay, you know,
So just dropping the comments up here. Uh, so yeah, and there's a plug for older glass too. But compassion. I don't know if we've overwhelmed you with suggestions, and that's just it. In photography, there are just so many possibilities, combinations, suggestions. Um, it always boils down to the best thing to do would be to try something first, but you don't always have that opportunity. And I know you don't want to make a purchase and then find out, man, I wish I'd have asked somebody, because 9 out of 10 people say stay away from that lens or that camera body or whatever. So I don't know if we've helped you or confused you.
at the end of the day, all people can do is suggest. Anybody that says that this is what you need to do for this, they're they're just like trying to make content. That's why I always tell people, like, in my opinion, it's this. Like, this is just like what I do. It's just different strokes for different folks. You know what I mean?
Good question, Jeffrey. And I don't. And I don't see any effect, any jelloing or anything else. That doesn't mean you shouldn't, but really, when we were talking earlier about the addition of VR in that new 28 to 75 lens, we're talking about that in conjunction with the IBIS in the camera body for handheld. And Matt Irwin was just out and made a video. Have you guys seen his video? His 8K video, obviously, you know, downsampled 4K to upload. It's beautiful, but you can tell he's doing some handheld video, and that's pretty neat. It's encouraging.
I'm still upset that he got two C9s and I don't
No,
have
he
one yet.
doesn't. He had a loaner, is what it was. He has a loaner and the one
Oh,
that he owns.
I see.
Matt Granger has two.
Oh yeah, that's yeah, that's who I'm talking about, Matt Granger. Yeah, that's sorry, I'm trying to edit and follow the conversation. But yeah, he Matt Granger has two of them, and I'm just like, man, like I mean, I get it. Like, I'm not mad. I'm just like a little jealous.
You know, I hadn't even thought of this. You're absolutely right by you, Josh. Josh, I've heard a lot of people talk about the 1635. A lot of people. A lot of landscape photographers.
Is that's a D excellence?
No, I don't think so. No. Ah, 24 1.8 Z lens for I bought the 1424 F mount a long time ago because everybody was just raving about that lens. And I guess for the time it was something special. I know that Canon shooters even bought it and adapted it. Um, and I used it, but I don't know. The 14 to 24, I guess. I don't know if I said that or not. But the 14 to 24 is a phenomenal lens. But everything I've heard is the Z mount, like all other Z mount glass, is so much better. But that is an odd focal range unless you use it and then it's familiar. But for somebody that doesn't use anything that wide very often, it's a very creative lens for somebody like me because of the distortion at 14 millimeter, and it's great for car photos, especially indoors at shows. But I never got a lot of use out of it, to be honest. Then again, I don't shoot things that require it, I guess.
Right. I used to, man, just until recently, I had so many lenses for like things that like I used to shoot, or it's just something that like I wanted. And I just like, I really downsized my collection, of like F mount glasses that like I had some Zeiss lenses that I really do love, but I just found myself like not using them anymore, you know?
There's a quote.
What's that?
I agree, Josh.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I was actually having a conversation with a model that I just shot. We were talking about people over analyzing photography, and I was like, you want to hear something really ridiculous? Is like I have a particular type of paper that I like to use, and that's Red River paper. Really, only because it's an American company. It's out of Dallas, which is my home state is Texas, whatever, and they make a good product. And I said, if you go to some of these really fancy galleries and stuff, and your stuff is being judged, they'll come up with a magnifying glass and like look at the texture of your paper. And I'm like, did you forget that there was a photo on it?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like anybody over in the forums when you post a photo. Let me
Yeah.
zoom to let me zoom to 400%. Oh, look at that.
Oh darn. That
There you
used to be
go. There's a
me.
question. Anybody got an answer for that? What's the best way to sell your your older lenses or your lenses that you're no longer using or because you're moving to mirrorless or whatever? My my what's worked best for me has been, believe it or not, Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, Nikon. There's a page on Facebook, and everybody does a good job of ratting out the people that are scamming. But Nikon buy sell trade on Facebook is a really good spot.
And Lee's talked about Fred Miranda's, and I've heard, good things, KEH, and I've heard good and bad. I think people just got mad at KEH because they didn't get what they want. I don't know. But
It's
yeah,
essentially a
all those.
pawn shop. I mean,
So those, but the thing about those places is this: it's a positive transaction, meaning there is no tomfoolery going on.
exactly.
Whereas with eBay, and I'm not going to say don't go to eBay. I bought a lot of stuff off eBay. Maybe I've been fortunate, but with eBay or other, you might have a problem, and there's a great opportunity to be taken advantage of. You really have to watch what you're doing. So the other places provide you with a safety net. You may not get what you want for your lens, but you know that you're going to get whatever it is. You're not going to have to fight somebody over payment or whatever. And that's the same way as trade-ins at Anorama, B&H, and everywhere else that you might be able to trade in. You're
They're
not
all
going
the
to get,
same price too, by the way. I had them all
yeah.
quote my F mount stuff.
So yeah, I like if you're in an area and maybe you're not in an area where you have enough, the population is low or whatever, and Facebook Marketplace might not work for you, but it has for me because there are plenty of people around here, and it's worked for me both ways, buying and selling, and it's a positive exchange because you can meet and make sure that money changes hand and product changes hand and everything else. So that's just me though. And if you don't care losing maybe 10%, because you may not make any more than 10, 15, 20% at the most by selling it outright yourself, and you just don't want the headache, then yeah, KEH, Fred Miranda, a lot of other places out there also, I'm sure. But I have no experience with them. So if you wanted to use that, ask one of the folks in the chat here that has used it. Ronin SC2. I have the first Ronin. Which one is that? You turn off IBIS when you're using it. See, I haven't, but then again, I haven't been populating the YouTubes with videos using it. I used it helping my stepson. I don't remember an issue, but maybe there is or could be. Yeah, his video was very nice this morning, Matt's. It was just fun to watch. Kind of like a Bayou Josh video. It just relaxes you.
Yeah, Bayou Josh like has it down as far like you don't even have to watch it to enjoy it. It just sounds good.
It could be it could be a podcast. Yeah, handheld. Yeah, use a tripod mount gimbal. Use a handheld gimbal. No answer yet. Okay, thanks, Jeffrey. No full frame talking about the 16 to 35, Josh. Who is it? Paul? I can't think of his name over in England. He shot with that a lot. I love watching that guy too. Landscape photography, and he's got a humor, a wit. He's funny. Not like Photo Tripper. They're just hilarious. That's just a skit they put on. If you can accept that, then you can enjoy it. T-Mid, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. You got new things going on in 22, and Happy New Year to you. Let's see. Want to watch Matt's AK video? I could not tell on my phone.
Did you say T-Mid is here? What's up, T-Mid?
T-Mid's here. Touch Life. Let's see. Couldn't tell on your phone? Yeah. So a lot of people talked about that. They don't. I know. I don't know if anybody commented that they did have an 8K monitor or whatever. I know they're few and far between. TVs
I sure as
and
hell
all.
ain't got one.
Very expensive. But 4K, everybody shows some slight. Yeah. It looked beautiful, though. It really did. And I'm really wondering how much difference it's going to make between 4 and 8. I mean, from the viewer's point, unless we have an 8K TV, I'd like to see it that way to know that there is a difference. 1424 is what I have back in with the D700. Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, that's when I got it, when I had the D700. So, folks, I'm slowly going down through the list of comments here. Let's see, S-Lens doesn't have that distortion. That's great on the 14 to 24, I guess. So the 1424, you'd like to have it, but the filters. $200, but I don't know how good they are. So is the bulbous element on? Is it you can't put a screw-on filter? Not that that's what you
Is
want. Maybe you
is
don't want that.
is this a Z or the F mount?
He's talking about the Z.
I'll go grab it for you real quick.
Let's see. DxO viewpoint. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I tried that. And by the way, Lee, I checked out Topaz denoise. I got the trial version and I tested it on a couple of photos. And you're right, man. That's pretty incredible. The AI in that is doing a great job, man. So, folks, I'm here to recommend it as well. If you haven't, go download the free trial of Topaz Noise and find a few of your noisy photos. And here's another thing I like about it. It works best on raw photos. It's best to use it on a raw photo before you begin editing. And I tried it today. Man, I was blown away.
All right, what was the question about the 14 to 24?
Somebody, it wasn't a question. He was just commenting on the cost of filters for the new 1424, the S version.
Oh, I thought you said something about like the bulbous front element. This does have.
Filter. Oh, it does have the screw on. Yes, it does provide. Okay, and that's what I said. I couldn't remember. I thought that was one of the hot points for the new 14 to 24 is you don't need the external filters. Although
you can do this big old bastard though if you want. I think this looks so silly.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look any more silly than having the big basket sitting on there for all the external square filters.
Yeah, those do look silly.
I mean, I understand the purpose, and I thought about doing that at one time. And then I thought, no, Chuck, you don't know what you want to shoot. Why sink more money into something that's going to sit on the shelf?
This, by the way, this is an impossible lens, though. If anybody is thinking about getting it, it's impossibly good. It should not be as sharp as it is out in the corners, but it is. Just throwing that out there.
Hey, Rakesh, I'm really, I love the lens already, but I can't give an absolute opinion on how good it is because I just haven't had anything to shoot with it. And I'm not one of those guys that's going to set up a
color card.
Yeah. And sit in here in the house and switch between, cameras, lenses, and everything else. The point is, I want to get out and shoot with it. I did get out yesterday and shoot with it, but the conditions just aren't great. I can tell you that it works fine for the conditions, but there isn't anything that's going to work a whole lot better. Obviously, if I could shoot a 600 f4, it would be a whole lot better because one, I'm shooting at f4. It gives me all those extra stops of light with the 100 to 400 at 405.6 without the teleconverter. It's a whole lot better. You put the teleconverter on it, at least the 2.0, and you're at f11. You got overcast sky or me, and it's just terrible conditions, and it does okay. It does fine. So I know that doesn't tell you anything yet, but that's where I'm at with it. I want to get a good sunny day and shoot it with and without the teleconverter. I'll tell you this, I don't see a big difference in the with or without the TC 2.0, and that's a good thing. But I really want to test that with good light to see if there is a difference. And I'm not talking about a 15-meter target. I want to use that lens out to its full length with and without the teleconverter. So at 400 and 800. And now here's something I am really pleased with. It may not be anything to anybody else, but when they say that it will focus at 2.5 feet or 2.5 feet, it will. And that is incredible. It is a great macro lens. I mean, not true macro, of course, but yeah,
It's
it worked.
doable at macro.
Yeah, it worked fantastic. 2.5 feet away, and with the teleconverter on 800 millimeters, and it focused 2.5 feet from the sensor.
That's
Incredible.
it's kind of bananas.
It is. It's incredible. I took two pictures yesterday. I haven't posted them or anything. I haven't even downloaded them yet. One of a tiny little needle off of a pine tree laying on a piece of wood, and it's fairly large in the viewfinder or in the shot. And I thought, well, nobody's going to be able to tell how small that is. So I stuck my finger down beside it. And this is how close it is, and I could still push the shutter
Wow.
and snapped a picture with my finger beside it. And my finger is the uh, width of the pine needle so that you have an idea just how small it is in the frame. It's incredible. So I don't know if anybody cares about that kind of stuff, but I take a lot of photos back here of dragonflies, and I did it with my 80 to 400, and it worked pretty well. But I think this is going to well outdo that. And I have some pretty good, decent macro shots of dragonflies. Not that anybody
There's
cares about dragonflies,
there's
but just the capability of the lens. It's phenomenal.
absolutely nothing wrong with having a little extra versatility in what you do. Like, is it made for macro? No, but will it get like right inside a flower? Yeah, I'll take it.
Exactly. Josh, if you're not gone yet, have a good night, buddy. Thanks for dropping by. So I can't really answer your question yet, Rakesh, but I'm happy with it. I'm not sending it back unless for some reason I'm just lucking out in the image quality, but I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's going to be a fantastic lens. It's poor man's 800 for certain. Um, it's light. It's the almost the same size. You could pretty much say it's identical to the 70 to 200. I know there is a little difference. The barrel's a little wider in the middle, but both have a 77 millimeter filter. But it's easy to carry. It's light. I really like the new balancing feature in the lens as you extend the lens. It keeps its balance, not exactly, but I had it mounted on my gimbal, my Wimberley gimbal, and even extending the lens, I didn't have to adjust the gimbal, but just a small tweak and it's perfect. Or I could just hold it and it would tend to creep. I mean, that's how well it balances itself internally. So that's pretty impressive too. Not with the 80 to 400, buddy. You swing that lens element out for 400 millimeters and it gets front heavy. But yeah, I like it. I do. If you were looking at it, I think it would be something to definitely take a closer look at and possibly get. Definitely cheaper than that 800 will be later on. I don't know. Everybody doesn't need 800 millimeters. I don't either, but I want it.
I would definitely do. I would do a lot more of the photography that you need that kind of lens for if I had it. But it's a vicious cycle of I'm not paying that much for it because I don't shoot that kind of photography now. I know if I had it, if I got it for free, I would start shooting it. But like I just can't. That's too expensive where want and need does start to become a factor. I'm all for getting something you want, but when you're talking 10 grand, it's like you better fucking need it because nobody
Yeah,
has that kind of money.
I'd love to have a 600, 400, 600, 800 prime in the new S class. I would love to. But that ain't going to happen anytime soon. So this lens will definitely, cover those bases for me for now. And it seems to perform extremely well. I get it out, shoot with it some more, and carry it around some more, and I'll give you some more feedback. I'll get some photos soon. I'm not going to post any of these photos right now. I don't know. Maybe since I tried the Topaz denoise. I mean, obviously there is some noise in the photos. F11, ISO 3200 to get a good exposure. That's how nasty it's been outside. I shot at F11 and at F22. And believe it or not, I couldn't tell a difference in the performance as far as autofocus went, which kind of surprised me. But you can see a bit of a difference. Even at F11, at 800 millimeter, there is great autofocus area. The bokeh is working well, considering it's a zoom lens. Let's see. Okay. Briar just sent me a message. He's shooting a wedding tonight. So maybe he can give us some info about how that went. See, I don't want to dump all at once. I don't want to haggle or sit through individual auctions. Yeah, Charles, and that's the choice we all have to make is what are we going to do? Are we going to go through the process? And I'm with you. I'm at a point now where I don't know when that time comes. There will be some lenses I'm going to hang on to for whatever reason, and then maybe later or eventually I'll get rid of them, but not many. And what was I going to say? Same thing for camera bodies. Eventually, I'm not building a museum here. That's been the thing for me. Is I want new, I have to begin to liquidate old, and I had to do that for the Z9 with the D5. So yeah, and it's such a pain having to go through the process of dickering with somebody over a price, and it may be easier. That's why KEH and Fred Miranda and B&H and Adorama, have a decent used gear business because a lot of people just don't want to fool with it. They're willing to give up the extra $200 or $300 they might get in a personal sale. So, yipper.
For me, it's all about speed. Like I'll take a pay cut just to get the stuff done, and that's why I mean it's for me it's better to sell it to a store, just because like I don't want to sit on it and find the right buyer. And does this guy look sketchy or anything like that? I'm like I got other stuff I'm trying to do, like I need to sell this shit now.
So, Albert, you're going to buy the 35, Tamron 35, 1.4, adopt it to the Z. Okay. All right. Yeah, T-Mid's still in here. He'll tell you. I told him a while back. They like shooting with the 35, T-Mid, and I think Ryan Troy. I'm not a 35 millimeter fan. I've got it in the 24 to 70, so there you have it. But I know a lot of people do like 35 millimeter prime, and that's good though. That's nice. You can adapt it, and it's a whole lot more reasonable.
The Tamron 45-1.8 is one of my favorite lenses of all time. Broke my heart when it didn't adapt well to the Z line. Need to keep that in mind if you're adapting Tamron lenses to a Nikon Z camera, they do not work well in my experience. Some of them you're better off just manual focusing because it sounds like it's eating up the gears trying to focus them.
Hello, as Pie Man 1970. I don't know how to say that either. But hola. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, everybody wants to see the price of that 800 PF. It's going to be interesting. Going to be a pretty good price tag, I think. Uses 112 millimeter filter threads. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know how great it was, Rakesh, but there'll be more, and I'll have some photos to back up at least what I'm talking about on it. You know, if it's something good or something bad, I'll have some photos. Uh, Give me a few days here to get this weather out of the way. It's going to get very cold too, but typically that means it's going to clear up, so that's a good thing. But we'll get some more out there. Uh, Topaz denoise. Now Jeffrey's. Let's see. Yeah, I'm telling you, Lee told me about it. I guess he thought I was telling him I wouldn't, or I told him I'd try it. And he probably thought, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I did today, Lee, and I'm a believer. I am a believer. So it looks like I'm going to have to pick that up as well. So the trial looks real good. And just a couple of photos that I took with the 100 400 at F11, 3200. And yes, there is noise in them, but I ran a couple of those through and I was just absolutely astonished at how good it does. And the AI in it is working extremely well because it doesn't look like you've done anything to the photo. It looks like, as they're saying, it was shot at 100 ISO. So pretty cool. Boy, that opens up a lot of room for playing, doesn't it? When
Oh
you
yeah.
got,
I
man,
haven't I haven't done it yet. Like I don't I've been interested in that. I just don't have any photos to use. I tend to just I tend to just not shoot photography if I have to shoot at that high of an ISO where, it's like I'm done for the day, I guess. But
yeah, 1.2 glass. Yeah, T Med. See, I know you do. That's why I plugged you, man. I know a lot of people like 35 for a lot of reasons. Yeah, I don't think it's not a lens I could walk around with all day long and be happy about. I could make it work, but I I wouldn't be happy. Okay. I like my zooms. All right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, all the one. Now, I will say this, based on seeing that 51.2, which Zach has, there is something sweet about that glass. I think the 1.8s are fantastic. Don't need no 1.4s in my opinion. I think they hit the right uh, you know aperture for the lenses. 1.8 and 1.2, and you're going to pay more obviously for the 1.2, but if you want it, you can pay more and you get it. And there are going to be people that are going to complain, it costs so much compared to this, that, whatever. Yeah, okay. You don't have to get it.
rent
The
it,
one because
rent
the
it,
one
and try it out.
but the 1.8 is fantastic. I have the 51.8 and it's a fantastic
It
lens.
is.
For 90% of anything that I would do, either one would be fine. It's
What
for the more creative side when you really want to get into that blown out backgrounds and things like that to isolate something. Yeah, that 1.2 does a number. I like it.
and there is I still don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a coating or I don't know if it's a piece of glass or what. There is a secret sauce of some kind in the 51.2 that is not it's just not in the 1.8. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the 1.8. I would say it's probably the best 50 millimeter 1.8 lens that's ever been made. At least the ones that I've shot, and I've done way too many 50 millimeter lenses, but it's an insanely good lens. But there is something in like the maybe it's in the color rendition or something. There's just something in the 1.2 that's like this is not in the 1.8. There's just
But that
something different.
But Nikon, Canon has them too, and I don't know about Sony. I'm sure they do, but because Sony, everybody in the world makes lenses for Sony, I think, because Sony
Yeah.
don't make lenses.
No.
But Nikon and Canon both have lenses that just do that. And that 51.2, from what I saw, what you've done and some other people, it's just got that look. It's like the 200 f2. It's got a peculiar look,
It's
and it's
yeah.
typically in lenses that are large aperture that happens. Whatever they do to the glass or whatever, I don't know. But
It's
yeah,
it's the difference between, okay, so this is how I've been like explaining it to um other people that like shoot Nikon that like I know, because they've asked me about it. I said it's the the f1.2 and the 1.8. The difference is the 1.8 is an amazing lens. The 1.2 is the shit. And that's that's I mean that's the easiest way to describe it. Like it's just that much better than like perfection, you know.
yeah.
I would not recommend anybody get it though unless you're um because it's hard to say spend like 1,500 more dollars for the same thing for 1.2 versus 1.8. It's hard to recommend that to people, you know.
Well,
But
I'm not. I'm if I recommend anything to anybody, it's going to be if you want it, get it. You know, but
yeah,
if you want it, get it. There's nothing wrong with that. Do I? Again, I go back to I'd like to have that 51.2, but I don't need it.
you would have so
Um,
much fun with
and
it.
and this is one time that I can say that okay, and I'm not going to get it. I'm waiting for the 85 1.2.
Oh god, me too.
I want to see what it looks like, and that's the lens I want. The 50, if for whatever reason I want to carry those primes or start using those more often, but I think I want the 80 85. I said 80, I think, but the 85 is for just portraits. Now, do I
Mhm.
need 1.2 for portraits? No, but the glass has a characteristic in it that's different from. It's like the 51.2 and the 51.8. 51.8 does great, but there is a characteristic that I see in that lens, the 1.2, that the 1.8 doesn't have. I
Yep.
can't put my finger on it, and I'm not going
Same.
down that, micro contrast and whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'll just make up my own term for it, but there is a look, and I like it.
The Chuck
Um,
look. This
yeah,
has that Chuck factor.
yeah. That thing Chuck talks about that nobody understands.
Yeah.
Uh, oh man. So 1.2 is just for the creative side of it though, honestly.
I mean, it
And you can
has
say it's all about the light and everything else, but if you're shooting 1.2 at a wedding, I guess the distance it would be fine. So you're not worried about such a shallow depth of field, and it does give you that extra light. So yeah, okay,
for
I can
me,
see that as well.
once see, I thought I needed 1.2 for the kind of like dark work that I do like in studio. And whenever I got it, I realized that for the most part, like if you can't make it work with a 1.8 and you need a 1.2, you're not worth nothing as a photographer because it's kind of a small difference. You can make it work if you know lighting, but I found out through getting it that wow, this is a doing a type of photography that like I never thought I wanted to do. So like the 51.2 is for me right now. I haven't used it in like a professional sense at all, but it is the most fun that I've had shooting photography in like 7 years. It's so creative and fun, and that's what like
Yeah.
I don't even tell people that 1.2 is like about lighting anymore. Oh, to get that little bit of extra light. No, dude, it is to have a hell of a good time shooting photography, you know.
Yeah. And so Robert, you understand the micro contrast, and I don't. I don't. I, I can look at photos that people say, oh, the micro contrast. So maybe that's what I'm seeing. But I look at photos from certain lenses and I think, man, it's just got a look. It's just, there's something about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
There's
I
a
can't
bunch
put
of
my
names for,
finger on it.
Zeiss pop. The easiest way to explain it, Chuck, and I don't know if you've heard it explained this way, is you have black, I'm trying to get my hands on here. You have black and you have white. And then in the middle you have gray. Something with like great image fidelity or Zeiss pop or micro contrast, whatever, is black, gray, 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 gray,
No,
gray,
I
gray, gray,
understand
and
that.
white.
All shades between, yeah,
Yeah, you
white
get
and
you
black.
more range, tonal range. But you can
I,
also create a little
okay.
bit of that in Lightroom.
That doesn't make sense to me, but I can see the difference. I just,
Oh,
I can't
Robert's
wrap
got
my
the
head around it.
Voigtlander on the 58 1.4. That lens is the business. That lens is so much fun. That is, believe it or not, the skin tones on that are some of the best I've seen.
Okay, this I understand, and that's what I'm going to equate it to, the 3D look, because that's what I
Yep.
called it. It just has a 3D look to it,
Yep.
and
Pop.
and the colors are even different.
Yep.
I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I love that. And you know what? And I equate that same look to flagship cameras by Nikon. Not as much as lenses that really exhibit it, but I've always felt like the flagships had that look or something different. Uh, and as they, I guess, should. I mean, you know.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
the images from the D4 are like noticeably different. You know,
yeah,
like
I
there's
loved my
something
D4.
special.
Yep, loved my D4. Love the D5. Don't have either. Oh, oh man. T-Med, you getting the Z9? I thought you had said you were going to get the Z9 as well. T-Med shoots with his 850 a lot. He and I both like our D850. I do. It's going to be a hard camera to let go of. I said I would never get rid of it, but I will eventually. But it's it's just a fantastic camera. D lenses, Robert. Yeah, yeah. You got Charles in agreement with you there. You still want a D4S? Yeah. When I sold my D4, I have a friend that shoots motocross, and that's what I was doing at the time. And he loves the D4, and he didn't even want the D4S. He kept his D4, had D4, had two D4s, I think. Anyway, after I sold mine, he found out I had sold it, and he was looking for another D4 because he had wore one completely out. He loves it as well. So maybe we do fall in love with a camera because there's something we see
Hmm.
in it that maybe others can't. But I agree that D4 was it was lovely, man. How it rendered color and everything.
So
It was only
it's
16 megapixel though. So does that make a difference? I don't know.
well, I mean, before that they were like 8 and 11 megapixels. You know, and then like two. Like I think the first one was like 2 megapixels, and people used that. So
Yeah, I didn't mean that being lower was derogatory, but
oh no,
did that could that have made a difference at the time? I don't
I
know.
mean, maybe. I mean, each megapixel is getting so much light. I mean, maybe that is why it's just
But
like, man,
there's
it just looks good. Like
yeah,
per megapixel is just getting overloaded with light. You know.
yeah, Jeffrey, you had the D3S. Of course, that's a legendary. What was I going to say? Oh, and you think the DA50 is up there? I think the DA50 is up there as far as performance when it comes to and being rugged and everything else. It's definitely a professional camera.
Yeah,
It's not flagship because they didn't call it flagship, in my opinion.
it's
Um,
definitely legendary. Like that's, I mean, that's still like the best, like probably all around DSLR that's ever been made on any brand. Period.
yeah, special sauce. There you go, man. I'll tell you, when you got the kung fu, there's just no defeating, and it had it. It had kung fu galore. Um, but back to Jeffrey there. While it's a fantastic camera, it's a tank. It does a fantastic job. I like the color in the D850 as well. I like the big files. I don't care what everybody says. You're going to have to buy new, blah, blah, blah. I like the big files because there are times when I do want to crop and it gives you that ability to do that.
Hmm.
Um, but it never had the secret sauce of the flagship. Why? I don't know. It's missing that one characteristic that now this is in my eyes, guys. I mean, other people may not see that, but I have talked to people that feel the same way about, the flagships. There's always something a little different. Maybe it's just maybe there really isn't. You just want to believe there is. But I
because
always
because
saw
you paid
something.
6,500 for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I always saw some, which made me grab my D4 or D5 first for almost everything.
And you
Over
know
the
what?
D850.
I think it's obviously, I don't know if the Z9 will have it, but I do worry that like my poor Z6 II is going to just be abandoned. Like I feel
Well,
like I'm just going
okay.
to reach for the Z9 all the time.
Now here's the
Typically,
thing that is absolutely true for me. I'll tell you right now.
mhm,
Um, but I didn't buy initially into the mirrorless for the stills capability. I bought it for the video.
mhm,
So my Z6 and Z6 II are going to continue to get a workout, and if nothing else, video for this kind of stuff, and some other things that I do again for my stepson. But the Z9 will get a little workout and some video too. I mean, obviously, considering what
mhm,
its capabilities are, but that's my stills camera because I've got the D850 that if I'm going to shoot portraits and this and that and whatever, I said early on in the beginning of the show tonight that I prefer it over the Z6 II because I'm not really comfortable with the focusing in the Z6 II yet, and I'm trying to use it the way everybody wants to use it with just basically close your eyes, point it in the right direction, it's going to find the eye and shoot. And I haven't had that
no,
success
no.
yet. Okay.
I have a really funny video coming up. Now that I can make these videos of like shooting through the lens, I have a really funny. It wasn't supposed to be funny, but I did voiceover over it, and it's just animal eye tracking, right? And so I had the dog in the backyard, and as I was doing the voiceover, it kind of seemed like it was starting off good, and then like you get to witness me getting frustrated as I'm watching it because it's painful to watch.
Yeah.
That's
And, and here's the truth. I think that I just need to sit down. And honestly, I haven't done that. I need to sit down and really go through the focusing uh, um, settings, focus settings in the Z6 too. And I'm sure that I can make that much better. And I haven't played with it a lot. I haven't shot it a lot as far as stills go. I've shot quite a bit of video so far, and I love the cameras for that. That's just fine.
well.
But
Here's a good question for the audience. If you have switched to mirrorless, what made you switch to mirrorless? Because for me, it was actually for it doesn't matter anymore because I don't have any of the lenses. But for creative work, I was using these manual focus lenses like the 105 2.5, the Zeiss lenses and stuff like that. And my eyes have reached the point to where like I couldn't hardly manual focus. And so I actually went mirrorless for focus peaking, which is a really petty reason for a good photographer to change systems.
no,
But
it's not.
I got to where I
It's not
just couldn't
any
see
reason.
anymore. Yeah, I got to where I couldn't see anymore.
Yeah,
So
that's my problem too. So I love the focus peaking. Now that I have done with the Z cameras, with my Zeiss 100. Uh, Man, I'll tell you, and honestly, with a little practice, I could probably go around shooting with that lens, manual focus, with the focus peaking. Uh,
the angry photographer said that the focus peaking on the Z system was, I think the word he used was abysmal. And then
well,
he
yeah,
always says
but he
he
lives
always
in an
says
abysmal world where everything's
yeah.
abysmal.
But I mean, he's like, oh, he
Magnetism.
says he's like when people say it's really good, I always say compared to what? I'm like, That's fine, but like people say, oh, it focus shifts and blah 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 blah. I'm like, dude, it. I have literally never had it fail, never had the focus peaking fail. Like it's always
I
there.
don't know. I don't. You know. I don't know. I haven't either, but I like it. I know
That's a
I like it, and it reminds me of the old split screen on a SLR. You know, you
oh
remember that
okay yeah.
as you got into focus. The screen, matched, and I don't know what they call it. They actually make those for DSLRs too. There was a company that made that for DSLRs for the viewfinder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, split viewfinder or whatever. I don't know. I forget all the names of everything. I've played with so many things and done so many things that I can't tell you the name, which makes people think that I'm lying half the time. Maybe I am. I just forgot. I did forget.
You just talking to
Uh,
talk.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh man. Oh, so anyway, I dropped Albert's comment up here. Um, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Is it the high element count though that it's making or that's doing this? I don't
It
know. I think
is it's the belief, and I mean, and I tend to believe this. I say it like that because there's always disagreement, but it's theorized that the more pieces of glass that your light has to travel through, the more it gets sandwiched and hamburgered and it gets that character squashed out of it. However, my belief on that is kind of changing because of the 51.2. I don't know how it has so much pop because there's a crud load of glass in that. And so I don't know if they're like, oh, we have a lot of glass. Let's put another piece of glass to correct for all that glass. I don't know what they're doing, but
I don't know. I
I've
don't
I've
really.
given I've given up on lens theory. I used to be really into the engineering of it, but with the new stuff that's coming out, it's like they've surpassed what I thought I believed, and so I just gave up on it. I just go out and shoot now, you know. That's why I've been splitting my videos like in 2022. There's going to be a lot more on YouTube of me actually shooting things and also talking about things. Is because like I don't want to just talk about the internal stuff of lenses anymore. Like I just want to do photography, and if that slows down my growth, whatever.
You know
But
what? You know what, Andre? I did not know that. You know why? Because I've never shot on my DSLRs with the doing live view with the LCD screen. Never,
I haven't
ever.
either.
I always use the optical viewfinder. Always. I never even. There you go. That
You know what's weird? It never even occurred to me because
no, me neither.
none of my DSLRs had. I don't even think the D610 did it even have a flippy screen. If it did, I never used it.
So if I ever told you all I read the manual for the DA50, obviously I was lying.
I've never read a camera manual in my life. Like, ever.
Uh, oh man, unbelievable. Yeah, but just because of mirrorless or whatever, I discovered the focus peaking, and yeah, it brought life back to my Zeiss 100. I love that lens. It's not the best macro lens in the world. Um,
I don't think I ever got to use that one. I heard that lens will kick your ass if you're not good at manual focusing. Is the throw really big on it, or is it just very fine? Is it just like a super fine piece of machinery?
oh Lord, it's like 49 revolutions to get from one end to the other. Yeah. Yeah, man. No, it's extremely smooth. I mean, it's butter to turn, but it is a long throw for focus, and that's for the macro capability in it. I think it's
Mhm.
got it shoots as close as 18 inches from this focal plane sensor.
You,
Um,
you know what's weird is that's not
you should
even
have
good
seen me
anymore.
trying to get into bees one day and take pictures of bees. I'm not
Could
afraid of bees; they don't bother me.
could
But
you imagine?
these guys did when they saw the reflection in that lens, I guess, and they didn't want me there. So, but
Could
yeah, I love the focus peaking, and I had a ball with it, and I shot a few events with it, not the whole event, but was able to actually use it, and that's one of those lenses that has that look. It's just
yeah.
phenomenal.
Most of the Zeiss lenses do. Like that's why sometimes that look that we're talking about is called Zeiss pop, is because like Zeiss lenses like have them.
I'm with you, Andre. I've got one, and that's not a lens I'm going to turn loose of anytime soon. And I'm really looking forward to getting that on the Z9. I have used it on the Z6 too, and I know it works. That's all I was doing with it. When I got the Z6, I just with the FTZ, I just started checking to see what worked and what didn't, and I was extremely happy to see that uh, that lens worked with the FTZ adapter. So yeah, and I've told people this: you will find a reason to use that lens. Yes, it's heavy. Yes, it's a pain in the butt. But again, it's one of those lenses that just does something magic. Um, and everybody looks at you like you're crazy. Wow, it's a big lens. I bet you can see far with that. No, but
Are those still hard to find? They went through a period where like you just couldn't get one.
I I don't know. I obviously hadn't been looking for one, but yeah, I do love the lens.
Let me grab some tobacco
Uh,
real quick.
let's see. A few times to see the pinpoint AF train. Oh, okay, Jeffrey. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I definitely shot some video with my D850 and the D5, and you can look at one of those old videos from 2 years ago where I was trying to use them for video. And while the video is fantastic, forget about autofocus in video on a DSLR. Rack and focus, back and forth hunting and noise and everything else. So everybody always they were always saying that back then when I was complaining about it, saying, well, if you really wanted to do video, you'd get a true cine camera and blah blah blah. Um, and true enough, not a long time ago, and still happens. Big companies pull focus, which is great. But a lot of people have begun to experiment. When I say a lot of people, some of the camera shoot production companies are toying with autofocus in these new hybrid cameras and pulling focus. This was an interesting. I need to find that video again. Pulling focus by tapping the screen and making it work and look professional, like they're pulling focus. That's
Like
cool.
doing like that, like on the cell phone.
No, 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 no. Just touching the screen to change focal points.
Oh,
So, you have somebody at a distance and somebody near the camera and being able to touch the person in the distance and they're in focus and then to pull back, not zoom, but pull back focus to the other person, just tapping him. And you can do that on any of these new hybrid, but they were doing some other things. It was really interesting and talking about the settings and everything, how to pull it so it looks cinematic. So the point is that yeah, you can't do that with the DSLR either. I mean, it's one speed for all. Excuse me. All right. All right. Where are we at? High element count. Lens can have great 3D pop. There we go. This is back to you, Zach. You guys. See, I read the camera manuals and operate.
I see.
A lot of people are asking that question too. Nikon, no indication by Nikon right now. Doesn't mean it won't, but it's a very popular, not popular lens, if that makes any sense. If you've shot with it or you have it, people are willing to, like myself, we're willing to talk about it all day long. But a lot of people haven't because it's an expensive lens for, especially for a prime 200 millimeter, but they don't understand what that lens is about. I don't know why Nikon even came up with it. Canon has the same thing. I don't know why what that lens was intended for. I know I like it.
Hmm. Oh,
All right.
by the way, Chuck, I've been waiting for our next live stream because I wanted to ask you whatever came of the whole NPS thing.
Well,
are you just done with it? Like,
you talking? No, no, not at all. But I didn't want to go there tonight. I wanted to give everybody a break. I didn't want to drag everybody through all that drama again. And I got enough grief over the last 3 days, and I honestly don't care. That's fine, and
yeah.
I'm willing to discuss it with people. But I got a lot in Facebook messages, and a lot of people. I would say 3/4 of the comments that I got via either on the video itself comments or in messages was positive. People will agree, and there's they agree. Nikon needs to step it up. Nikon needs to communicate. And quite a few, even some NPS members, agreed on the NPS allocation,
Hmm.
thing. And it was ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but I'm not going to go there tonight. Um, I will be back on that topic though. Um,
I
and 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 the other thing about marketing and who they're marketing to, they're not marketing to anybody. They're just satisfying old farts. That's my that's my explanation of their marketing plan. Satisfy old farts, and then when they die, our business is over because nobody else wants our cameras. Um, and that's why I asked even tonight, if you're in that bracket, especially in that 20 something bracket, and you're either just now getting into photography, videography, or you've been in it for a little while, I'd love to have you on the show. I'd love you to explain why you chose Nikon or why you didn't, and talk about that and how you feel. Are you do you feel that Canon and Sony market to your demographic or age group, or does Nikon, and whatever? Because I think that's what Nikon needs to do, is get some 20 something blood in there for their marketing department. You don't have to market to us. Nobody, if there was never another Nikon commercial at all, we're still going to buy Nikon because for many reasons. We like it, we love it, we're embedded in it, and that's that. You don't have to market to us, but you need to get that next generation
yeah,
and bring them up, because without them, you're not going to have anything. And I
they're
know everybody says, "Oh,
ambassadors.
you're so doom and gloom." I'm not doom and gloom, but I mean, facts are facts. If you can't look and see the fact that Nikon's lost market share, they lost it towards the end of the DSLR era. Okay,
Hmm.
that's a fact, and they definitely lost market share overall with mirrorless since mirrorless started. I mean, even
Hmm.
before Canon and Nikon jumped into the mirrorless arena with Sony out there, Sony was drawing away from both Canon and Nikon.
Yeah,
Um,
people do think that like mirrorless is what set Nikon behind. It's like no, they had a home run with the D850. Everything else was everything else before that was on par with like what Canon was trying to do. The D850 kicked Canon's ass bad,
well,
and but this like
I, you
Nikon
know,
getting
I,
behind is not
I
new.
I only bring all that up because people that are in la la land, or just denial that Nikon's not lost anything, never will. Well, you ask Nikon, if they're honest, they'll tell you they have. And if we're going to a pure mirrorless format now, and DSLRs are going to go away, which of course all the old farts, my age group and up, no, it's never going to DSLR be around forever. Yeah, just like film cameras, right? How many of those
Right.
we selling anymore? A lot of people still want to dabble in film, got it, but it's definitely not anything that's bringing home the bacon anymore.
Well,
Okay, so my point is that with mirrorless, if Nikon didn't get on the bus and do a good job, which I assumed that they would, then yeah, Nikon's going to fall into an obscure little company with a great history that nobody will remember.
right.
It's not going away, but it will diminish. So my point is that the next generation's got to keep Nikon alive, and that's not us. We only have so many cameras left in us the old timers. Uh,
They something real quick on like the film. Film. I think will always be around to some extent until they finally catch on that the chemicals are extremely toxic. Uh, and they need to advertise the safer ones. But anyway, DSLRs will not be in the same kind of category as film because the differences between film and digital are huge. The differences between DSLR and mirrorless are not like that. Like there's no like retro aspect to DSLRs. Like there's just not. It's like what do you want? Okay, the optical viewfinder is now gone. Or do you think there's going to be kids in the future that just like, well, I want to go back to the old days of an optical viewfinder? No, they're going to go ahead and go for film, you know. But as far as the old fart argument,
Bam.
um, they Nikon needs to get some young ambassadors first because their ambassadors they're really talented, but they're all, and I'm not ageist or anything like that, but they're all like in their 50s or older. And so they need some really young creative blood in there, like a young face, like, yeah,
Look,
I'm
look,
28
it's
years
what
old
I've
and
been
I'm
saying,
killing
and
it.
I have a live stream that's that. Is it time for Nikon to get some new young ambassadors?
They did a
And
good thing with Richie though, because they're
that's what
fully backing
that's what
Richie.
Briar's saying right now. You know what? All we need in the marketing, you can go flat out strong towards that age group. Exclude us. Why? Because we're not going anywhere. You're not going to lose us, Nikon. Ugh. Quit catering to these old farts that I don't want no video. I don't want I want a stills camera that shoots and I can hear a click and I can screw my little release into the shutter and stand and click. I mean, yeah, I'm being a little facetious, of course. But you know what? Quit listening to us. Listen to that next group out there that's going to buy your cameras. That's who you need to be listening to. And you need to do something to address them, which you don't. At least I can't see it. So you're right, Briar. It has to be. They have to look down there in that pool of people, which is, again is why I'm asking tonight for people to do that. I mean, some young folks to do that. Come on here and talk about it. And I just want to get Nikon engaged in it. I don't want to see my beautiful brand that I love so much. And it's hard to say, it's unconditional love, Nikon, because only a mother could love like this with you doing what you're doing. All right. Time means a lot. I agree with you 100%. Briar did the live stream saying the same thing and still preaching it. Charles, time a lot. Nikon had video in the D90, but it was before the mirrorless revolution, so it got dropped. Okay, you want to get me started on that too, Charles? Let's talk about that for just a second too. Man, you guys are going to get me wound up, and I didn't want to go there. But yes, they did have a video in the D90, and for what? Why? Why Nikon? Why? Why did you do that? Because you didn't do anything with it. You just did it. Okay. So why did they do that? I don't know. Canon saw the writing on the wall. Woohoo! 5D, was it the 5D Mark II that was the big hit for video? You know how many videos were made with the 5D Mark II versus anything Nikon ever made? Why did people jump to Canon? It wasn't for the stills. It was for the video. Which is, again, people are in denial when they say video doesn't mean anything. Dude, I'm here to tell you, if you feel that way, you're not going to you wouldn't make it in the camera world, because that is exactly what it's all about right now. You may shoot stills only. You may never hit the video record button, but that's what's selling cameras. It ain't you and your still shooting. All right.
Yeah, there's only a few people like me that would actually probably be okay with not having video. But if any camera company comes out with a video or comes out with a camera that doesn't have a screen that moves in some way or have some kind of video features, they are just going to go bankrupt. Like, people would lose their minds and they wouldn't make enough money off of it. There'd be like maybe 1,000 people like me that are like, I don't give a damn. I just need a stills camera and it's cheaper this way, you know?
Don't worry about it, Charles. Hang on, where am I at? All right. Um, yes, Nikon like IBM attitude. You're absolutely right. That's a good analogy. Does that make Sony the Microsoft company? um, yeah. Gosh, man, it's so easy to go off on that tangent because I have so much love for Nikon as a company. I really do. I'm just so aggravated with over the last, I don't know, 4 years, maybe even going back 5 years. It's just Nikon's got to understand that their future doesn't rest in us. And I know they know that. And I had somebody tell me, probably they probably understand this better than you do, Chuck. I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm dumb as a bag of hammers and I can see it. So where does that leave Nikon? So anyway, Rishi is a fantastic hire by Nikon. And he does a great job at what he does. But we need more. Yeah, 5D Mark II shot actual TV shows. Yep, you're absolutely right, Robert. And if that's fantastic. Every kid finds out that they're shooting a TV show with a 5D Mark II, which he could buy. What brand's he going to?
Exactly.
Ammo. And Nikon's blown it. But Richie's fantastic in what he does. But we do need some younger talent out there showcased for Nikon. And I said it the other night, they brought Mark, I can't remember his name, the guy that came in and pitched the Z9.
Oh, the marketing guy. It's like Mark Cruz or something.
Yeah, Mark Cruz. I think he did a fantastic job. I wonder, though, I'm just wondering if they had done a hands off him and said, you do it the way you want to do it, if it would have been different. I just wonder. I think he did a great job. Don't get me wrong. But I think they need that young blood in there to stir it up and pitch to their true audience right now is not us. It's to the next generation. Who is the next generation? That would be the first question I would ask them. Do you all know who the next generation is for your cameras? Have you looked at have you done any research? You got to believe they have. So anyway, I don't want to get going on that again tonight because I alienate people real quick with that. But I do believe that it is time for them to get going. And I'm going to continue to talk about this, for a while to come until we see something happening. But not tonight. Not tonight. Yeah. There was a lot of things shot with the Canon 5D Mark II, and then the 3 and the 4. And then some people went back to the 2 because they liked it better than the 4 for video. I don't know. But, Nikon just threw it all down the tube. Nikon had nothing to lose, not one thing to lose. So think about that for a minute. Think about that, folks. Not one thing. What did they have to lose by going whole hog with video?
Nothing.
What would they cannibalize in their line? Nada. Think about that. All right.
Nikon suffers from like a huge amount of like arrogance, and they always have.
Yeah, it is. It's arrogance. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And yes, they have. Hit the wrong. Here, let me get. I am Hassan in there. Hassan, you're right. They have seen the light. Okay, so now this is a two-step process. One is the equipment to do it, and the next is the marketing plan to get it in hands. They've done a fantastic job with us. What did you see in all the ambassador videos? If it was video, it was just standard blase video showing how well it did with 8K, 4K, whatever. The most creative thing was the girls climbing and that was what's his name? He's been doing video with Nikon for a long time. He's a great guy. Um, but I guess my point is where's all the creativity, the really creative video stuff? You know, Canon didn't have to market because Canon put the tool out there and then the people marketed it for them. We're
Yeah,
not that fortunate.
Nikon needs to do that. Nikon has been horrible. Like, unfortunately, even though influencers can be kind of annoying, they seriously need to be giving a free camera to like some TikToker to go out there and just like talk about how much he genuinely enjoys the camera. See, like what I want to see from Nikon is like, I don't want to see people hired by Nikon. Like, I'm not saying like Nikon should do this for me, but I shoot Nikon because I love Nikon. Like, they don't even have to pay me, you know? Like somebody that just loves their products, not somebody that they bring onto their payroll or, and like pay them to say these things. Like they need actual like YouTubers. Like nobody is just like, I mean, Matt Granger he even has to go and rent his own stuff to talk about Nikon, and he's always been a Nikon shooter. It's like, why
Yeah.
haven't they picked him up? You
Well,
know?
but see, no, I don't agree with that 100%, Zach. I understand what you're saying. Make them all ambassadors. Got it. Okay. But get some young ambassadors and let's give them some airtime and let's get them out there in the limelight. We need, you need a 22-year-old doing something creative with that camera to relate to 22-year-olds and 24-year-olds and 18-year-olds. And everybody says, well, they're not buying these cameras. Well, you're crazy. Where'd you get that from? Where did you hear that? Again, you're only surrounded by 60 somethings, okay? You have no idea what you're talking about. So the point is that let's get it in the hands of the people that are coming up now. You know, get some 20-year-olds that are out here creating with these tools, these cameras, and that's all it's going to take. If they become popular, guess what? The camera becomes popular.
Yep.
And all it takes is using it and seeing that it can do everything they think only Sony can do or only Canon can do. And I don't want to beat them again at their game, but I want to see Nikon move back up to where it needs to be, and it needs to be for the long haul. And I don't know why anybody would argue with me. Is it a bad thing to get the younger generation into Nikon? Is that a bad thing? Am I doing a bad thing here? Should I just shut up and not do that? Or, I mean, should we try our best to keep it out of the next generation's hands? Will Nikon prosper by that happening? Is that
No,
a good thing?
no, they'll
Then
fail
what
if they don't have their next line of customers. They'll fail.
then why are people fighting with me over it that are Nikon shooters? Why are people fighting with me and telling me, shut up and quit whining and you don't know what you're talking about? Oy. All right. Corey Rich, yes, that's his name. He's been around for a while. He was around and introduced the D5 and the video capabilities and all that kind of stuff.
Is that the
And
Australian videographer?
Huh?
Is that the Australian videographer?
No, he's an American, but he does a lot of commercial video stuff. Sports, action. He does the video or a lot. That's what he does, I guess, as far as his see target. Well, let's talk about that for a second. It's important that you select the right people.
I think the angry photographer needs to be the one that
Seth is Seth. Okay, he's a New Yorker. Okay, and it's his way or the highway, no matter what. Even in anything that he's doing, if he was a guest here on my show, he would be telling you all what to do and to shut up or to speak up or to whatever. I'm sorry. He can be. I think he would carry quite a few people. I agree that he might be somebody that could help because he relates to that age group and he probably relates to them well. But we need more than just him. So I'll give you that, Albert. I think he'd be okay. But He can get on your nerves real quick. You ask a question he thinks is stupid, and he calls you stupid. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Who is this?
Seth Miranda.
I'm not familiar with him.
He's a good guy. He shoots a lot. He does a video, the weekly video cast for Adorama on all the latest camera news. He does it's great. I mean, it's a good quick fix on what's going on to stay in touch. Now, Jeffrey, see, there you go, buddy. I love you, man. I do. I love you. But that's not what we're talking about. We're not even talking about just taking snapshots and being chic and, out on the town with your little wrist strap, ZFC or whatever. There are, in this generation, Jeffrey, a lot of young people that are getting into real video and real photography video, okay? And they're choosing hand over fist Sony, and they're beginning to choose more Canon, but there are not many choosing Nikon. And it has nothing to do with the phone, not one thing. And they're buying rigs for these cameras, cages and rigs, and they're actually producing. Now, it isn't anything that's going to be on the Saturday night or whatever, but they are actually producing content for whatever, commercial and other. And we're losing them. Nikon's losing them. Nikon has the ability to capture them with the equipment that they have right now, but they're not doing anything to capture them. They're not wooing them in any way. With the advent of the Z9 and all the video capability in it, this is the time to go out into that community and say, look, we can do it. We can even do it better in some ways. And find people that are maybe even shooting Nikon already and get them involved in, whatever. You've got to do something to get them out in front of that audience, not us, that audience. So, hey, Woody, sorry, man. Sorry. I didn't mean to go off like that, but thanks for dropping in again, man. And yeah, I got a nap today. Woody sent me a tip saying, you better take a nap. You're going to be up that late. And he's right. So there are a lot of good people out there that do shoot Nikon and don't really get a lot of credit other than they built that credit themselves on YouTube. And that's a good thing. Okay. But who's a real proponent and who's a 2 million subscriber YouTuber that promotes Nikon on a regular basis, and he isn't over 50?
I don't know how old
Bueller?
Matt Granger may be the only one. I don't know how old he is though. He's not like a young.
Okay, and this sounds ridiculous. Now I know this sounds ridiculous, but he's only 675,000 subscribers. That sounds ridiculous to make that, doesn't it? That point.
Yeah, that does actually kind of sound ridiculous to make that point. 650,000. I thought he would have like a lot more than that. He's been in the game for 15 years on YouTube.
Okay, so what's it tell you? All right. And I love Matt Granger. All right. So it's whatever. But how many's Fro got?
Almost 2 million, maybe 1.5.
Yeah. How about what's his name? He's a Canon shooter. Great guy. I used to watch his videos all the time. He's got like 5 million subscribers. Canon shooter. Creative. Doesn't throw Canon in your face constantly, but he shoots with Canon and he does talk about Canon. And he always had some really creative videos that he was doing every week. Can't think of his name. Peter McKinnon. There you go.
Peter McKinnon.
Peter McKinnon promotes Canon like no tomorrow. 5 million subscribers who talk to another 10 million people. Anybody that asks, well, what kind of camera has he got? He's got a Canon. Okay, so there's yet another. Now, you can't make these people overnight, but you got to go find them. Find those that are moving up. You got to get them headed, or not headed in the right direction, but give them some help.
Yeah, like tell them, be like,
You know,
according to our marketing team, that these are some successful things that like work for us. Blah
well,
blah blah
no,
blah. Like,
you can actually not give them, but lend them equipment at times and let them not do the typical review, but do a review by doing something creative with it. And then people ask, "Wow, that was great," or I don't know what the terminology is today. That was dope, man. And what lens was that, or whatever? Okay,
sick.
and I'm getting a bit crazy now. I'm getting punch drunk, I guess. But my point is that we need that in the Nikon camp. We really do. We don't have it that I know of, and if you guys know of anybody, pass it on. We'll do our best to at least push them up too. Um, but we need that. And Nikon's done this to themselves, though, guys. I'm
Yep.
not going to say that everybody, it was everybody conspired against Nikon. No, that came after the fact. Nikon did this to themselves. And now I'm hoping that they're pulling themselves out of this fire. And Albert brought up um, he brought up the fact that what did you bring up, Albert? What did I? Oh, I can't remember now. Anyway, so here we go. I said I wasn't going to go down this road tonight. I haven't forgotten it, folks. I just wanted to take an easy night and have some fun in here and let everybody chat. But you got me going.
They got
So
Chuck twisted.
it's gonna get better. I know. It's gonna get better. The Z9 debacle is just what it is, and we're just gonna have to wait it out. We're not changing anything, and there are things that we can't change either. It's supply and demand, and right now the parts and everything else is just going to keep us going for a while, or keep it slowed for a while. Yeah, Peter McKinnon. And you probably never heard of him, but you know what? Every kid that shoots a Sony knows him. Every kid that shoots a Canon knows him.
Yep.
And what's that say?
His
There
backpacks are insanely expensive. He's got his own line of backpacks now, and they're like ungodly expensive, like $299 or something. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the one that Nikon gives you for free when you buy a starter camera. I have a backpack for like long treks, but Chuck, this is just filling the air in between comments here. I kind of screwed up, man. I have Flash and I know how to use Flash, but like I never really do. Just because I don't like lugging around I don't like small flashes. Just because like I don't really, it's like never really enough, and the controllability or whatever. I just never really use them. I have the Godox 8400 Pro, which I actually bought to kill the sun in summertime. But I took it out to one photo meetup in the Wichita area. And oh my God, it was so good. Tonight, I decided to use it in this bodyscape session that I did. And oh my God, it's so good that I don't think I can ever leave home without it ever again. And I bought a wagon to pull it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I can ever like not use it ever again.
Yep.
Flash will change
Flash
your
is one of
life,
those
man.
things that people are afraid of more than anything else. And you get a lot of people that'll say, well, I'm a natural light shooter. And
That's cool.
maybe they are, but a lot of times that's just hiding the fact that they don't want to dive into flash or artificial light. And I understand that. And it takes some playing with. You got to, you got to spend a little time doing it to get used to it, to figure it out. And light,
Yeah.
I mean, everything we do is light. So you're doing the same thing you do with natural light because you're looking for where's the natural light coming from? How am I going to pose this to use that available light? Well, the difference here is you just set up the light and make it happen wherever you want, regardless of the lighting in the situation. But when you really get good at it, you can use natural light and the artificial light, and it just gets fantastic,
Well,
especially for
even
those golden hour shoots, to really make that sky look fantastic, but make the light on them natural enough that it doesn't take away from the whole scene. All right,
here's
fellas, I'll
the
be right back. Go right ahead.
what I was going to say is even if it's not flash, even if you're a natural light shooter and you just buy yourself a reflector, if you're not taking control of the light in some way, I just encourage you to give it a try. You can buy like reflectors for really cheap, like $15. But like once you take control of your light in some way, oh man, it will just change your life. You don't have to have like an expensive like Godox 8400 or whatever. You don't have to have that. Um, it definitely has its benefits, but just any way that you can take control of the situation is just going to be that much better for you. Like in my opinion, I'm kind of a control freak. You don't have to go as far as I do. Um, but yeah, just anything that will kind of give you control of your scene beyond just like your composition. Photography is, I mean, it is lighting. And even if you have beautiful natural light, exposing for your background and bringing that flash in, it's a different game altogether. I don't think I can leave my house without it like ever again. I just enjoy it so much. I enjoy the you can if you do your flash right, then you can get that golden hour kind of look without it being the golden hour. You know, you can go out at like noon in the summertime when it's just blisteringly bright and get those beautiful colors and uh that beautiful I don't know how to describe it, that you know the golden hour photos just kind of like reach out to you a little bit. You know, you can do that if you understand your light. What I was telling them, Chuck, is even if you don't have like a gigantic um flash rig, even getting yourself like a reflector, like anything that allows you to take control of the lighting is
Yeah,
just that little bit of extra, you know.
yeah. I mean, you can definitely do bounce light and everything else, but with lighting, I mean, it's this whole it's a whole nother subject, and I mean, there's so much to go into with lighting. You have to understand the exposure triangle right off the bat, and then understand how flash works. And once you understand how each of them work, then you can put the two together and really make some phenomenal things. But a lot of people that start with flash immediately think that, well, I'll change my aperture, or I'll change my shutter speed, or I'll change ISO, and they don't understand how that affects ambient
Hmm.
light more so than flash. Which is why you see people that are actually using flash in most cases adjusting the flash unit itself once
Hmm.
they have their ambient exposure where they want it. So, yeah, there's just a whole lot that goes into it. But I think most people that say I'm just a natural light shooter are just afraid of it. But once you start playing with it, you find out that, man, there's so much fun to do. You can do with.
You cannot replicate, and I've tried. You cannot replicate what Flash will give you in Lightroom or Photoshop. Like you just can't do it. Like I have tried and tried and tried. I have dabbled around with, multiple step what do they call it, tasks in Photoshop, and you can't do it. You know.
Well, the fun with light too is shaping the light and
Hmm.
carving something out of a model or subject or something else rather than just straight on flat lighting, which is fine too. Women love that, by the way, because it hides the majority of any flaws they perceive they have. But yeah, I mean, shaping light's fun. Some of the masters of that and have been around for a long time. You know, Joe, Lord, I don't know why I can't remember anybody's names anymore. Um, Nikon ambassador, great guy.
McNally.
McNally. Joe McNally's a master of shaping light. He's been doing it for so long, and he does it. He does it very often. He'll do it with just um, not strobes, or not with uh, well, shoot. He
Continuous.
no, he does it with just strobe, on camera strobes, not literally on camera, but with
Hmm.
remote. And yeah, he's fun to watch. He's fun to watch how he sets it up, and he always draws a great diagram of what he's doing and how it's affecting the scene and everything else. So he's great to watch and learn from, no doubt about that. But yeah, a whole other subject. That's something we probably could get into one night. He's talking about it. Not just that, but actually, I'm going to get somebody in, and we could do. I'd love to do a live stream and let everybody talk about what they want to see, and then we'll replicate it. I can try to replicate it here in the studio. I think that might be fun too. That might be more fun when the Z9 finally arrives, because I know a lot of
Right.
people are talking about the concern over no mechanical shutter and uh, sync speed of 1/200th. Of course, you can, if your lights have high speed sync capability, then that really it doesn't matter. So, but anyway, we could do that one night. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Shooting flash at night too, out in ambient light, street light and stuff like that's a lot of fun too. That really gets fun.
It's like a fun immersive process is light painting on long exposures. That's a lot of fun to play with too. It's not exactly easy, at least not for me. But going out and doing some like astral landscape, and then you got your light and you're like painting the foreground and stuff. That's just kind of fun and immersive. I'm
Yeah,
not
it
good
is,
at
and
it,
there are
but
some people that do that better than others too. Some people, it's just blatant in your face when they do the light painting, and it really
mhm.
takes away from the scene. There are others that are very good at it and being able to, uh, just provide enough light in the foreground that it becomes uh, part of the capture. Oh man, looking there. Hey, folks, you guys, let's see. You guys have anything else? Because I think I'm going to get out of here in just a minute.
Yeah, I need
Uh,
to focus. I have only got 30 photos done in this entire.
oh man, I'm glad everybody dropped in. I really am. It's been a lot of fun. Sorry I got on my rant again, but I wanted to save that. We can touch on that more later. Um, so for 2022. I want to get a lot more people in. I want to get some more guests in here. Again, I'd like to get some of the younger folk to talk about what they're seeing in the camera world, as far as, is there any peer pressure to shoot one brand over the other, or is it just one of those things that everybody believes in one brand rather than another, and get to the bottom of that. Find out what makes them believe that, and maybe if nothing else, we can get some information that I don't know if Nikon's looking for or not, but if we can get some folks in here to talk about it, and not just that, but bring them into the fold. I don't care what brand you shoot, but at least I'd love to have you come in here and talk about what goes on in your age circles. I think I know. I think I have a pretty good idea, because again, I hear it quite often. But somebody's challenged me, saying that maybe I'm hearing something that really amounts to nothing. So I want to hear it from the rest of the younger photographers and videographers out there, and especially for which you're shooting more of, video or stills, and why. So, but that doesn't mean other people can't be on here as a guest as well. So, you just grab the email address and send me an email, and we'll get you lined up and put you in here in the queue as well. So, thank you all very much, especially on New Year's Day. New Year's evening, 1 January 2022. Wow. Where did 21 go? Huh. I'm not.
COVID took it.
Yeah, let's hope that 2022 will push that aside and we can continue to work back towards normal. So stay safe, folks. Zach, I'll let you.
Let me. Oh, close out.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you everybody for popping in. If you haven't swung by my channel yet, swing by my channel specifically because I want you to tell me. It doesn't matter what video it's in, but I want to know what everybody's first photo shoot of 2022 is. I want to know what your subject was, and yeah, just swing by the comment sections. I'll be looking for y'all. I want to know what everyone's planning on shooting in 2022.
All right, folks. Agnetha, yeah, Lay, yeah, she wanted to hang on with Nikon, but I think even she got a little bit perturbed. I know she didn't turn away from Nikon, but so it's good to see that she's ordered a Z9 as well. All right, folks. Thanks again. On your way out, if you would, drop a like. For those that haven't subscribed, if you really enjoy, at least whenever you have some time and you're bored and you want to jump in and hang out with photographers, videographers, or whatever, meaning us, um, consider a subscription. I always put out a reminder before the live streams, and you can pretty much count on Saturday night and here recently Wednesday night as well. And I don't expect everybody to be in here for every live stream, but we'll be here if you want to stop by. So if you would, drop us a subscription and definitely drop a like. It makes me feel good. It makes me want to come back and do it again. So thanks to all you in the chat room. A lot of the same folks. I really enjoy you guys with your comments, your questions, and everything else. And continue to do that. Drop all your comments after the fact. YouTube's real good to me. They just turned this right into a video, and makes it so much easier. But I enjoy the interaction live. And thanks, Albert. Yeah, you're right. And again, that's what we got to get away from. And I feel like that's what they feel from Nikon. It's just old and stuffy. So we just got to change that if we can. We got to change their attitudes, not Nikon. They'll change if they will or won't. But we got to change the attitude of some of these younger folks that just see Nikon as the boot to kick around and not a serious player.
The boomer brand.
Yeah, the boomer brand. Exactly. So I'm an old guy. I recognize it, and I'm doing what I can to change it. All right. All right, folks. Thanks again. Thanks very much. And we will see you if you want to join us on Wednesday night coming up. We'll have another live stream Wednesday night. So you got anything you want to talk about, drop it in the comments, and we'll definitely put it all together for a live stream on Wednesday night. Thank you. Subscribe. Hit the like. God bless you all. And I know 22 is going to be a better year for all of us. We're gonna make it happen right here on this channel. All right.
Chuck, thanks for having me again, man. We'll catch you next time.
You're welcome. All right.
Bye, everybody.
All right, folks. Night, night.